Chapter 3340. There were countless powerful cultivators on the ancient star path, and the large sects and families were as numerous as the stars in the sky. If these people wanted to make a move, it would be really dangerous. Moreover, it would be even more dangerous if they alerted some terrifying great sage or saint-level sage in the myriad of worlds. It's over, the situation is getting difficult. Unless this kid joins a faction and seeks protection, such as Yen Nantian joining the Vermilion Bird Palace. Apart from providing more resources, the Vermilion Bird Palace could also provide protection and deterrence. After all, if a sage attacked, Yen Nantian would probably not be able to escape. However, joining a faction would be enough to deter others. As expected, the three sages' avatars' eyes were burning. It seemed that their true bodies had to come immediately. The two Vermilion Bird sages also had the same idea. In an instant, everyone was eyeing Lin Xian covetously. Lin Xian also frowned. That damned Yen Nantian really knew how to cause trouble for him. However, since he dared to fight Yen Nantian, he had already thought of this and had the dark red dragon set up a peerless array around him. Therefore he remained calm. The next moment he said in a low voice, "Since you've decided that I'm the champion, then give me the champion's reward. The reward is not urgent. Young Master Lin is the champion of the Vermilion Bird list, so if you want to come with me, the Vermilion Bird Palace will treat you well." The other contestants also went together. The Vermilion Bird Palace Lord said with a smile. Hearing this, Lin Xian's expression changed. The Crimson Dragon also panicked. Damn it, this won't do. If Lin Xian were to enter the Vermilion Bird Palace, he would definitely be trapped. If he wanted to come out again, he would probably die. Therefore, he definitely could not enter. Yen Ruyu and the others also became nervous. Lin Xian's expression also changed. Damn it, to be honest, he did not want to go either. However, what if the Vermilion Bird Palace really did not give him a reward? He came this time for the Tao of Earthstone. If they did not give him a reward, everything he had done before would be wasted. Could it be that he really had to go in? However, the price of going in was simply too high. Who knew how many sages were waiting for him in the Vermilion Bird Palace? Fuck Vermilion Bird Palace, Yen Nantian, I'll remember this. One day, I'll tear you to shreds. Lin Xian gritted his teeth. Just as he was in a dilemma, a voice rang out. There's no need to go to your Vermilion Bird Palace. Lin Wudi came with me this time. After he obtains the reward, I still have to send him back. Once these words were spoken, everyone was in an uproar. Was someone going to stand up for Lin Wudi at this time? They wanted to see who was behind Lin Wudi. In an instant, everyone turned their heads to look. Even the people from Vermilion Bird Palace frowned. In the next moment, they saw a figure rise into the air. This was a middle-aged man. He wore a starry robe and looked very dazzling. He came to the void and countless starry arrays flashed under his feet. What a mysterious aura. The surrounding people were all shocked. However, the Vermilion Bird Palace's palace master cried out in surprise. Langya Palace. You're from the Langya Star. Yes, I am. The man in the star robes nodded his head calmly. The people around him started to cause a ruckus. Someone from the Langya Star? The Langya Star was actually behind Lin Wudi. Everyone was very shocked by the Langya Star. They were not unfamiliar with it because the Langya Star's reputation on the ancient path of stars was much greater than that of Vermilion Bird Palace. Countless people wanted to go to the Langya Star to seek answers to their questions. Lin Xian was also stunned. He had not expected the Langya Star to appear at this time. It seemed that the Langya Star had been silently following him in order to test his strength. The person in front of him must have seen everything in the previous battle. Now that he had confirmed his strength, he had come to save him. After all, he still had to go to the Void Ocean for the Langya Star in the future. Therefore, he nodded at the person from the Langya Star. So it's a fellow cultivator from the Langya Star. You've come all the way here. Why don't you stay in the Vermilion Bird Palace for a few days? The Vermilion Bird Palace's palace master spoke again. However, the man in the star robes shook his head and said, There's no need. Hurry up and give us the reward. We still have things to do. Then he changed the topic. Is the Vermilion Bird Palace going back on their word? Or do you want to be blacklisted by the Langya Star? The moment he said this, the expressions of the people from the Vermilion Bird Palace changed. Both sides were great factions, but the other side did not need to deal with them. However, they might not. Perhaps they would need to use the Langia star in the future. Therefore, it would not be good for them to have a direct conflict now. They had no choice but to take out the reward in the future. The Vermilion Bird Palace's palace master took out a storage ring and said that all the rewards were inside. There was also a token, which was proof of identity to enter the Void Ocean. When the time came, Sir Lin could go to the Void Ocean. The man in the star robes did not move. Lin Xian took the storage ring and scanned it with his soul. Indeed, there was a Dao stone in it. The Earth Dao stone. Lin Xian smiled. He didn't care about anything else, but he definitely had to get his hands on the Earth Dao stone. He immediately took the Earth Dao stone out of the storage ring and placed it in the black earth. Then Lin Xian descended and summoned the dark red dragon to his side. Then he said to the North Demon and Yenryu, "I still have something to do, so I'll take my leave first. I'll contact you when the time comes." They exchanged sound transmission arrays. Then Lin Xian and the dark red dragon rose into the sky again. Next, the Langia star powerhouse in the star robes left with Lin Xian and the dark red dragon. Everyone was in an uproar when they saw the news. They were extremely excited. The faces of the people from the Vermilion Bird Palace were terrifyingly dark. Damn it! They had not expected that the battle they had carefully planned to build up Yin Nanshan's popularity would be intercepted by someone else. More importantly, the person they had wanted to capture had been forcefully taken away by the people from the Langia star. The Vermilion Bird Palace had never suffered such a setback. It really made them gnash their teeth in anger. "Don't worry, that kid won't be able to escape." Yin Nanshan's face was cold. "I'm about to break through to the Sage Realm. When I break through to the Sage Realm, my strength will undergo an earth-shattering change. I can finally use some mystiques. When the time comes, I'll kill him like a dog." Yin Nanshan's eyes shone with a piercing light. Indeed, the Sage Realm was a watershed. Stepping into the Sage Realm was truly breaking free from the heavens and earth. And one could control the laws of all things. It would be different if some of the greater mystiques were used. "Let's go." The people from the Vermilion Bird Palace quickly left. Although Yin Nantian had been defeated this time, they still had absolute confidence in him. He was a genius with a boundless future. He would definitely become a great emperor in the future. After the people from the Vermilion Bird Palace left, the others were discussing spiritedly. This battle was really too exciting. They believed that it would not be long before it spread throughout the ancient path of the stars. They probably had to hurry up and prepare. Chapter 3341. Yenryu told the North Demon to leave quickly. The North Demon also left. Long Zhaotian and Zhao Wuliang's expressions were ugly. So he was Lin Wudi. They had looked down on him before, but he was too powerful. But who would have thought that the other party was really too powerful? Even when the two of them joined hands, they were still not a match for the other party. "Sage, I must become a sage." Their eyes shone with a piercing cold light. Right now, the only way to become invincible in the forest was to break through and become a saint. These people all left. Some made up their minds to not come out until they became sages, while others went to spread the news like crazy. Some only sighed, and their faces were filled with despair. That was because their geniuses had already been killed in the first round. In fact, they didn't even know who the culprit was. The most depressed people were the Yin family. Their Yin family's ancestor, a sage, had mysteriously disappeared here. They were terrified and had to quickly return to discuss countermeasures. After everyone left, planet Suzaku seemed to have returned to normal. However, at this moment, a heaven-shaking roar came from the Valley of Devil Cultivation. "Ah, damn brat, I won't let you go." This voice pierced through the 9 heavens and soared into the sky. He had turned into the appearance of a sage and was filled with killing intent. It was Cloud Sky Sage. At this moment, Cloud Sky Sage was still covered in mud. His eyes were as red as blood. Monstrous killing intent filled the 9 heavens as he broke free from the demonic pond. After coming out, he looked around and caught a person. He asked coldly, "Who are you?" That person was from the Suzaku Palace. He was originally retreating from the Valley of Devil Cultivation, but he was caught and scared out of his wits. Cloud Sky Sage didn't hold back and forcibly collected the information he wanted to know. Soon he withdrew his hand, but his expression was terrifyingly gloomy. He had actually defeated Yin Nantian and became the champion of the Suzaku ranking. Moreover, not only was he the successor of the 9 sons, but he was also the successor of the Great Dragon. Cloud Sky Sage was simply too shocked. He realized that the person he had trapped was actually the successor of 2 top inheritances. Moreover, this person had the Great Destruction Spear. If he could catch this person, not only would he be able to obtain the Great Destruction Spear, but he would also be able to obtain the Great Destruction Spear and the Great Dragon Inheritance. Thinking of this, he was so excited that he began to tremble. Lin Wudi, you can't run away. Cloud Sky Saint's eyes glinted coldly. He was searching, but he couldn't find him. Lin Wudi had been taken away by the people of the Langia Star. The Langia Star? Cloud Sky Saint's eyes flickered, but he did not care. He knew that it was impossible for her to spend the rest of her life with the Saint of the Langia Star. As long as they were separated, he would find an opportunity to strike. He would capture the other party, and then go into seclusion for a few hundred years. He would only come out after his strength had greatly increased. At that time, with 2 great inheritances in his hands and a peerless weapon in his hands, who could be his opponent? At the thought of this, he impatiently tore open the void and flew toward the outer realm. He was not the only one who had such thoughts. Others also had such thoughts. Among them, the most powerful ones were the 3 clones of the saints. After they found out about Lin Xian's true identity, they immediately communicated with their original bodies. At this moment, the true bodies of the 3 great sage were rushing over. The 3 of them were not in the same group, but their goal was the same. Lin Xian and the Dark God Dragon followed the powerful cultivators of the Langia Star and left the Vermilion Star. They were returning to the Langia Star. They had already left for a few days. Lin Xian also understood this powerful cultivator of the Langia Star. He was indeed a saint of the Langia Star. The other party's name was Mu Bai. He was very powerful and had specially come to check on Lin Xian. This little guy is very powerful. His future is definitely limitless. This was Mu Bai's evaluation. Lin Xian smiled. Senior, you are too kind. I wonder what you are going to do in the Void Sea? He was very puzzled by the Langia Star's request. This is not the place to discuss matters. I will tell you everything when we return to the Langia Star. Lin Xian nodded. Next he began to cultivate in seclusion. After all, as a genius, his strength did not come for free. He had cultivated it bit by bit. Therefore, Lin Xian would not give up on cultivating whenever he had time. The Dark God Dragon also began to study the chess game. This heaven-crippled chess game was mysterious and unpredictable. There were many changes in it. This made the Dark God Dragon very happy. After traveling for another 2 days, Saint Mu Bai suddenly opened his eyes and frowned. Lin Xian and the Dark God Dragon also woke up from their cultivation. Senior, someone is following us. Lin Xian said. Saint Mu Bai nodded. Ignore him. I will change the direction. The 2 of you can continue to cultivate. After saying that, he steered the spirit boat and changed its direction. The array on the spirit boat flashed, and it directly jumped through space. In an instant, it disappeared into the cold void. The next moment, the space crack disappeared. At the same time, 3 powerful souls swept over. They left. These were the souls of the 3 saints. It was obvious that the 3 saints had made a move. Moreover, they were almost locked onto. Let's go and chase. They chased along the way. They did not know that the Cloud Sky Saint was behind them. The 4 great sage people began to chase. However, Lin Xian and the Dark God Dragon were very calm. They were not worried about being caught at all. This was because Lin Xian was very strong. It was not a problem for him to kill a saint. Although the Dark God Dragon was also a half-saint, it was also not a problem for them to trap a saint together. In the end, it was not a problem for Saint Mu Bai to fight someone of the same level. They did not take the 3 saints seriously at all. However, it seemed that Saint Mu Bai did not want to fight with them. Instead, he changed his path from time to time. The spirit boat's array was very powerful. Therefore, the time they took to reach the Langya star was greatly reduced. After about half a month, they actually arrived near the Langya star starfield. In a flash, they directly entered the Langya star. Behind them, the three saints saw this scene and all stopped their pursuit. They had no choice. Although they were powerful, they did not dare to attack the Langya star. Therefore, they could only stop nearby. After the cloud sky saint rushed over, he also saw this scene and frowned again. However, the four of them did not leave. I don't believe that you can hide in the Langya star forever. They revealed a cold smile. The four saints hid near the Langya star. They were completely dormant, waiting for the opportunity to hunt. On the other hand, Mu Bai led Lin Xian and the Dark God Dragon down to the first zone. At this moment, the Langya Palace Lord and a group of elders were waiting for Lin Xian. What a large scale! After the Dark God Dragon entered, he also narrowed his eyes. He did not expect the reception this time to be so grand. After greeting the seniors, Lin Xian did not act arrogantly after entering. Instead, he cupped his fists and looked around. Young Master Lin, you don't have to be so courteous. The Langya Palace Lord smiled and walked down personally. Chapter 3342. The Palace Master of the Langya Palace looked like a young man in his 30s. He was handsome and his eyes were as deep as the stars. He didn't look like a leader but a top young genius. The surrounding elders were also wearing robes and emitting a mysterious aura. Young Master Lin is a young genius and powerful. He won first place on the Vermilion Bird leaderboard and defeated Yin Nantian. He was just lucky. Lin Xian smiled. The Palace Master of the Vermilion Bird Palace smiled. This battle can't be explained by luck. We know that young Master Lin is powerful. Perhaps he can really help us complete this mission. Oh right, what mission is it? Lin Xian asked curiously. The Palace Master of the Langya Star smiled. This matter is not urgent. We promised young Master before that when young Master becomes the champion of the Vermilion Bird leaderboard, we will give young Master a big gift. This is the metal Dao stone. The Palace Master of Langya Palace flipped his hand, and a golden stone appeared in his hand. The stone emitted a piercingly cold aura like a divine sword, causing the void around them to shatter continuously. Metal Dao stone. Lin Xian's eyes narrowed. He took it without hesitation. He already had 4 pieces in his hand. He was very close to his goal. According to the agreement, we will also give young Master Lin the whereabouts of the water Dao stone. We will also give young Master an additional message. These were all agreed upon before. Hearing this, Lin Xian nodded. That's right, I will also help you complete the mission according to the agreement. However, young Master Lin, is our relationship really just a mission? Does young Master not want to go further? What do you mean? Lin Xian was surprised. The Palace Master of the Langya Palace smiled. I naturally want to invite young Master to join our Langya Star. Young Master should know about the relationship between Yin Nantian and the Vermilion Bird Palace. Moreover, this is just a special case. There will be more and more peerless experts and geniuses joining the various top forces. I think young Master will be no exception in the future. Why don't you join our Langya Palace? The Langya Star was relatively famous in this world. It was not inferior to the Vermilion Bird Palace. To be honest, Lin Xian was really tempted. It seemed that joining a large force was the trend. He couldn't resist. Otherwise, he would be at a disadvantage when competing with those people in the future. And joining a place like the Vermilion Bird Palace was probably too strict. Lin Xian didn't want to be restricted. Lin Xian was tempted by the Langya Star, which occupied a star world and focused on divination and deduction. Moreover, it had great resources. Moreover, the Langya Star had always had a good relationship with him, and had even entrusted him with missions. Therefore, Lin Xian nodded. This was not impossible. Seeing that Lin Xian was tempted but hesitant, the Langya Palace's Palace Master added, I know what young Master is worried about. Don't worry, we won't restrict the young Master too much. A prodigy like the young Master must be a powerhouse who can compete in the myriad worlds. We will provide you with resources, information, and necessary help. What we are betting on is young Master's future. One day, when young Master reaches the peak and becomes a great emperor, my Langya Star will naturally rise as well. I understand these principles, but isn't your Langya star afraid that one day, I will bring endless trouble to you? Lin Xian asked. He knew that he was being targeted by a mysterious force, and he might explode at any time. Since it was a gamble, then while enjoying the fruits of victory, he would definitely bear monstrous risks. We know this. Not only do we have to bear it, but everyone has to bear it. For example, the Vermilion Bird Palace was already so close to Yan Nantian. It was fine if Yan Nantian became a great emperor, but if he couldn't or died halfway, the other forces would definitely crazily suppress the Vermilion Bird Palace, and might even be wiped out. Lin Xian nodded. That was true. For example, he was already at odds with Yan Nantian and the Vermilion Bird Palace. If he killed Yan Nantian, he wouldn't let the Vermilion Bird Palace off either. Alright, since that's the case, we'll join the Langya Star. Hearing this, the elders in the hall all laughed. The Langya Star's palace master also laughed. Good. The young master has been to the Langya Star several times, and has always been in the 8th palace. Why don't I appoint young master as the 8th palace master? Thank you, palace master. Lin Xian cupped his fists. The Langya Star was divided into many areas. For example, the things that Lin Xian asked before were all in the 8th palace. Therefore, after he became the palace master, everything in the 8th palace was under his control. This wasn't an empty title, but an elder with real power. It could be seen that the Langya Star valued him very much. However, Lin Xian wasn't interested in things like management. Therefore, even if he became the 8th palace master, he would instruct others to do it. Since he had become a member of the Langya Star, Lin Xian wouldn't be polite. He asked Palace Master, "What did you go to the Void Sea to retrieve?" The Langya Palace Master said, "It's a long story and it's related to you. You fought with the Great Demon and in the end, you summoned the first-generation demon Shadow, and used demon swallowing the world to seal the endless starry sky. The Langya Star was also sealed in it. In the end, the Langya Star's great array blocked it. However, there were still some places that were broken. One of the places was filled with demonic chi, and it hasn't disappeared yet. This isn't ordinary demonic chi. It's very difficult to erase. More importantly, there's a sleeping green demonic vine in our Langya Star. If we remove the demonic chi and alarm the green demonic vine, or if the demonic chi and the green demonic vine fuse together, we'll be in trouble. I'm afraid that the entire Langya Star will be in danger." Hearing this, Lin Xian's expression became solemn. Green demonic vine. He didn't expect to hear such a terrifying demonic thing here. It was a very terrifying thing. Once it grew up, it could destroy the entire star world. Ordinary saints would have to become nourishment for the other party. Back then, the green demonic vine exploded in the universe. Many star worlds were quickly shattered. In the end, a great emperor took action and forcefully erased it. Only then did the disaster stop. In the end, there were very few green demonic vines in the universe. He didn't expect that there would be one on the Langya Star. In addition, there was one on the North Demon. So that's the case. What should I do? He asked again. The Langya Star's palace master said, "After some time the Void Sea will open. It's a place with endless treasures." Chapter 33-43. Half a year. There was still half a year left. The Void Sea would open and he could enter then. Lin Xian thought for a moment and then asked, "Oh right, I still need information about the magnetic stones." As soon as he said this, the elders in the hall exclaimed in low voices and discussed animatedly. "What's wrong?" Lin Xian was surprised. How could it cause such a huge commotion? The Langya Palace Master said, "It seems that our guess is right. You want to cultivate the 5 elements into one. Only this kind of law would require a large number of Dao stones." "That's right." Lin Xian nodded. Since he had already joined the Langya Star, he would not hide it. Hearing that, the people in the palace hall all sucked in a mouthful of cold air. The 5 elements into one was very rare. Perhaps only the young man in front of them dared to do so. The Langya Palace Master said, "I will help you deduce the matter of the magnetic mountain. We have previously deduced that it is not in the Void Sea. It should be somewhere else." "All right." Lin Xian was not in a hurry. He would go to the Void Sea and obtain the Water Dao Stone first. The news of the Vermilion Bird Palace spread like a hurricane. Many people in the world knew about it. They were extremely shocked. They did not expect that the Vermilion Bird Palace, which had spent so much effort to hold the Vermilion Bird list, would end up being a wedding dress for someone else's disciple. The people of the Vermilion Bird Palace would probably be angered to death, right? It turned out that Lin Wuti was the successor of the 9 sons. Moreover, he was the successor of the Great Dragon. He was too powerful. I reckon that it was very likely that he would become a great emperor. That's right, if nothing unexpected happened. However, I reckon that many people have their eyes on him now, right? Do you think he will go to the Void Sea in half a year's time? Who knows? But I'm definitely going. Everyone in the universe was talking about it. Lin Wuti's name once again resounded throughout the starry sky universe. Those young geniuses were all envious and looked up to him. The older generation figures also nodded repeatedly. Of course, some peerless powerhouses were also jealous and even prepared to take action. At the same time, the news of the Void Sea also spread. Many great forces in the universe were preparing to head to the Void Ocean. Some of the top geniuses even felt that this was a good opportunity to become a sage. After all, there were many treasures in the Void Ocean. If they could enter and obtain it, the time they needed to become saints would be greatly reduced. In this way, they might not necessarily be unable to compete with Lin Wuti. All of a sudden, everyone began to move. Those who were a little further away had already set sail. The Void Sea was a sea in the void of the universe. It was very strange. The seawater here was unusual. It could swallow people, and even half-saints. Of course, if the void was still open, there would be a certain amount of time for people to enter. That was why everyone was waiting for this opportunity to open it. Some warriors who had arrived early were already wandering around the Void Sea. Those peerless experts and elders were staring at the Void Sea with sparkling eyes. Some of the youngsters felt their scalps go numb because they saw corpses and bones floating out of the waves of the Void Sea. These were the corpses and bones of those who had come to the Void Ocean in the past to search for treasures. The Void Sea had always been rumored to contain treasures. That was why many people had come to search for treasures since ancient times. Boom, boom, boom. Heaven and earth trembled. The endless darkness turned fiery red. A vermilion bird spread its wings and soared into the sky like an ancient divine beast. The faces of those around the Void Sea changed. How terrifying. Could it be that the ancient divine beast had been resurrected? The youngsters exclaimed. The elders were also surprised. No, the people of the Vermilion Bird Palace had come. Indeed, the huge vermilion bird had arrived near the Void Sea and occupied a part of the starry sky. The vermilion bird spread its wings and soared. There were many figures standing on it. Each of them had prominent horns and powerful auras. Obviously, they were all geniuses. Standing at the front was an extremely handsome man. He was Yin Nantian, the successor of the great emperor, Yin Nantian. There were also the elders and geniuses of the Vermilion Bird Palace. Exclamations of surprise were heard. Many people were secretly sizing up Yin Nantian. Because of his miraculous skills, he was said to be the most likely candidate to become the next great emperor. However, he had been defeated by Lin Wuti in the Vermilion Bird List battle. Therefore, they wanted to see what Yin Nantian was like. However, they soon started screaming miserably. Yin Nantian huffed coldly. The phantoms of the 4 divine beasts circled around him. Those who tried to peek at him all bled from their eyes and fell from the sky. He was too powerful. Many people looked away. There was awe in their eyes. Even if the successor of the great emperor had been defeated, he was not someone ordinary people could provoke. The Vermilion Bird Palace had come aggressively this time. Apart from Yin Nantian, there were also many half-saints. Some of their auras were even very obscure. Could it be that the clones of the saints had been forced? Many people were solemn. Next, more and more forces and families arrived. They stood in a part of the starry sky. Fortunately, this was the universe and there was endless space. However, the ones who occupied the most advantageous positions were still a few of the top world forces. The Vermilion Bird Palace was one of them. No one dared to get close to where they were. In addition, A few forces that were on par with the Vermilion Bird Palace had also come. For a moment, the atmosphere around the Void Ocean was very heavy. Unexpectedly, the opening of the Void Ocean had attracted so many people. In the universe, a spirit ship was flying quickly. Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon stood inside, their eyes shining. Beside him was Saint Mubai and a few elders of the Langia Palace. There were not many people. The Langia Star did not even send those young genius disciples. Was it because those people were not good at fighting? Or did the Langia Star have other intentions? When they arrived near the Void Ocean, Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon looked at the light screen in front of them. The surrounding formation had already reflected the images of the surroundings. Lin Xian saw that there were countless figures around the Void Ocean. Their auras were very strong. Some of them were young geniuses with great strength. There were also some older figures. They were all sitting cross-legged and staring at the sky. Lin Xian knew that apart from the young geniuses, only a small number of experts had entered, because there was an age limit. Of course, he could not rule out the possibility that some people had used some methods to force their way in. But such people were definitely in the minority. Lin Xian did not take them seriously. While Lin Xian was sizing up the people outside, they were also alarmed by the aura of the spirit ship. They saw a beam of light rushing over, followed by an ancient spirit ship. Immediately, there were exclamations. Chapter 3344. The pattern of the Langia star was a starlight pattern. In the middle was an incomparably bright star, surrounded by many other stars, forming a star field. It was very strange. It was easy to recognize at a glance. At this moment, countless exclamations sounded. The spirit boat of the Langia star continued to move forward without stopping. Obviously, with the strength and status of the Langia star, it had to stop at a position closer to the front. As expected, the figures in the positions near the front of the Void Sea also turned their heads and exclaimed. Those on the huge vermilion bird turned their heads and looked over. In the next moment, many people's expressions changed. Damn it, it's the people of the Langia star. The spirit boat stopped in the void. Then a few figures rushed out of it. The person in the lead was a young man in a red robe. He had a handsome face, and there was also a divine dragon following beside him. He looked extraordinarily mighty. Following closely behind were Saint Mubai and a few elders. As soon as they appeared, they attracted the attention of many people. Damn it, it's you! A cold voice rang out. Above the 9 heavens, endless thunder and lightning descended. It pierced through all directions. Everyone below felt their hair stand on end. What a terrifying aura! Who dared to make a move at this time? Countless people looked around quickly. Soon, they found that the person who spoke was Yan Nantian. Yan Nanshan's murderous aura surged and shot into the sky. That aura was so terrifying that even a half-saint would tremble. His eyes burned with a fiery red light as he stared straight ahead. He didn't expect to meet his sworn enemy in the Void Sea half a year later. Yan Nanshan's face was terrifyingly gloomy. Between heaven and earth, a terrifying murderous aura surged, making people's scalps tingle. Lin Xian also glanced at Yan Nantian. Then he smiled and said, "Isn't this my defeated opponent? How dare you come out? Let me tell you, I'm going to the Void Sea too. So you'd better take your people and get lost." As soon as he said that, everyone's eyes popped out. They didn't even dare to breathe. This was a fight between immortals. As expected, the Vermilion Bird Palace's people's expressions were extremely ugly. Quite a few people's eyes were emitting flames. The overflowing flames transformed into flaming tornadoes that engulfed the 9 heavens. That damned brat, how dare he look down on us? Many of the Vermilion Bird Palace's geniuses clenched their teeth. The Vermilion Bird Palace's elders also had unwavering expressions, as if they were about to attack. What's wrong? Do I have to make a move just because I want to be outside? I don't mind playing with you guys. Lin Xian's body flashed and he stomped his foot. Suddenly, the surrounding void shattered and turned into a terrifying black crack. A terrifying pressure pressed down on the surrounding people, causing their faces to turn pale and their blood to almost freeze. The flames that filled the sky were instantly torn to shreds. Those from the Vermilion Bird Palace gulped. No one dared to make a move because they knew that the person in front of them was no ordinary person. He was the number 1 on the Vermilion Bird leaderboard, someone who had suppressed Yin Nantian. However, a Vermilion Bird Palace prodigy still sent a voice transmission. "Elder, why don't we attack and kill him forcefully? We have a saint on our side anyway." However, when the Vermilion Bird Palace's elder heard that, he snorted coldly. "Shut up and don't mess around. We have a saint, but does he not have one? Try making a move here if you dare. If you want to kill him, you can go in. There will be plenty of opportunities, but not here." Hearing that prodigy stopped talking. Indeed, they had a saint on their side. How could the Langia star not have one? Especially in such a situation, the elders around Lin Xian were probably here to protect him. After this, more powerful factions came. Dark Moon Temple. 8 Desolation Pavilion. The Seekong family was a major faction on par with Dragon Valley and Vermilion Bird Palace. The geniuses of the Seekong family were also very terrifying. And this time, there were leaders leading the way. Even when facing Yin Nantian, they didn't show any fear. One could imagine that they were very confident and powerful. That guy. Among the people of the Dragon Valley, there was a figure with a gloomy expression. It was Long Zhaotian. He was originally from the Dragon tribe, so he had joined the Dragon Valley in the past half a year. He had become a member of the Dragon Valley and was valued. On the other side, there was also a pale-faced person from Dark Moon Temple. He stared at Lin Xian with a cold killing intent in his eyes. He was Zhao Wuliang. He had joined Dark Moon Temple. In addition to these people who were hostile to Lin Xian, there were also some people who were greedy for the treasures on Lin Xian. Among them, there were 4 sages hiding in the dark. One of them was Cloud Sky Sage. However, they must have hidden in order to secretly enter the Void Sea. He couldn't find them for the time being. Chapter 3345. He snorted coldly and did not care at all. As long as these people dared to come, he would definitely make them regret it. "Brother Lin." The North Demon walked over from afar and greeted him. Yin Ryu was also here. The 3 of them attracted the attention of countless people. Yin Ryu only brought 2 people with her this time. 2 of them were dressed in green robes. One of them was an old lady with a walking stick. The other was a middle-aged man with a white face and no beard. They stood there silently as if they did not exist. The North Demon came with his sister. He had not joined any forces yet. Ever since the Vermilion Bird trial, he had gone into seclusion and only came out recently. "Why don't you join the Langia Star directly?" Lin Xian said. Hearing this, the Langia Star sage and elder raised their eyebrows. These 2 people were top prodigies. Yin Ryu smiled and said, "Even if I don't join, can you not help me?" The North Demon nodded. "Sure, but I have to bring my sister along." Hearing this, Lin Xian glanced at Sage Mubai. Sage Mubai smiled and said, "No problem." He was too happy. The North Demon was also a top prodigy. At this moment, Lin Xian added, "Elder Mubai, this brother of mine is not simple. He has a battle armor that is the Green Nocturne. If Brother North Demon grows up in the future, he might be able to control the Green Nocturne." Hearing this, Sage Mubei's eyes lit up. He looked at the North Demon with even more joy in his eyes. Someone who could control the Green Nocturne? To them, that person was like a savior. Of course, he also looked at Lin Xian gratefully. If it were not for Lin Xian, the North Demon would not have joined the Langia Star. It seemed that betting on Lin Xian's future and fully supporting him was the right choice. The North Demon also heaved a sigh of relief. He waved his hand and called for his sister. Then he said, "You can follow me first. These seniors can wait outside. The Void Ocean is too dangerous. It's not suitable for you to enter now." "All right, brother, be careful." The North Demon nodded and started to fight with Lin Xian. They began to wait patiently. Boom. They waited for about 10 days before an earth-shattering sound came from the front. Waves rose from the Void Ocean. Each wave was 10,000 miles high. It was impossible to see them clearly in the darkness. However, the 8 waves spun rapidly, forming a gigantic vortex that seemed as though it was going to devour everything. However, The experts waiting here all revealed smiles as they looked at the vortex. Good, it's finally open. They can enter now. Hearing this, everyone took a deep breath. Was it finally going to open? Many people clenched their fists. This time, they had to come out alive and successfully bring out the treasure. Sage Mu Bai also looked at Lin Xian and the northern demon and said in a low voice, "Be careful." He looked at Lin Xian. "Especially you. I reckon that many people will make a move on you this time. I'm guessing that among them, there must be a saint who sneaked in." "Don't worry, I can handle it." Lin Xian smiled. Then he turned around and walked forward with the dark red dragon, the north demon, and Yan Ruyu. The surrounding people all moved out and entered the black vortex, disappearing without a trace. However, at that moment, 2 muffled groans were heard. 2 figures were sent flying, and their blood dyed the void red. Then they turned into a sea of blood. It was the blood of a saint. Many people exclaimed in surprise. There were indeed saints among them. However, it seemed that the 2 saints were not strong enough. They were sent flying and were seriously injured. Damn it! The 2 saints cursed in a low voice. They were instantly covered in blood and flew into the distance. Sage Mu Bai looked at this scene and sneered. What a stupid guy. He came to the void ocean without asking around. How dare he barge in? Seeing this, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. Were the saints injured? It seemed that there were special restrictions. Thinking of this, he did not hesitate and quickly walked forward. Soon, they were swallowed by the darkness. The seawater washed their bodies, forcing them to defend themselves. However, it was too dark. It seemed that the abyss could devour all light. Therefore, they could not see clearly at all. The people were not worried. They just waited for them to enter completely. Suddenly, a scream was heard. Oh no! The voice was very sweet. After hearing it, Lin Xian asked coldly, "What's wrong?" That was Yan Ruyu's voice. However, in the next moment, he was sent flying by a huge force. Boom. Oh no, I've fallen into a trap. Someone is setting up a trap. Lin Xian instantly understood. Fortunately, his physique was strong. Although this attack landed on his body, it didn't pierce through it. The blood in his body was boiling. He forcefully suppressed it and shouted coldly, "Someone is setting up a trap. Don't make a sound." He was warning the dark red divine dragon, Yan Ruyu, and the north demon. However, his warning exposed his position again. Suddenly, there was a terrifying energy fluctuation in the void. However, there was no light at all. Boom, boom, boom. Lin Xian took the attack head-on, and was forced to retreat. His blood was boiling. However, he did not act rashly because he could not find Yan Ruyu and the others. If he hurt them, it would be troublesome. He had to survive this period of darkness first. All of this happened in an instant. Then, light appeared in front of them. Everyone was wrapped in seawater and rushed out. They had completely entered the void ocean. This was a scene at the bottom of the ocean. It was like an underwater dragon palace. There were all kinds of marine plants, sea creatures, and fish. Those were all demonic beasts. The water carried a heavy pressure. However, those who could enter were at least half saints. Some of them were clones of saints, and some were hidden saints. Therefore, the pressure of the seawater was not a threat to them. It only affected them a little. Lin Xian, are you okay? Yan Ruyu and the others walked over, and asked with concern. Lin Xian's eyes shone with a cold light. In the next moment he nodded. He realized that it was really Yan Ruyu this time. The North Demon and the Dark Red Divine Dragon saw that Lin Xian's robe was a little tattered and some parts were charred. They asked nervously, "What happened?" "Someone attacked me in the dark." "What?" The Dark Red Divine Dragon gritted his teeth. The North Demon and Yan Ruyu were shocked. They looked around cautiously. There were some people in the surroundings. However, most of them left quickly after landing. The North Demon glanced at them and said, "Something's not right. There are much fewer people here than before. It seems that they have been randomly assigned. Few actually dared to come in. You really don't know what's good for you. Just you wait. When the time comes, none of you will be able to leave." At that moment, a cold laugh came from behind them. The North Demon and the others turned around. In the next moment they frowned. It was the people of the Vermilion Bird Palace. Not only was Yen Nantian not here, but it seemed that he had not been teleported here. He must have been teleported somewhere else. Chapter 3346. The North Demon said, "They have a lot of people and we're here to find treasures. Let's not fight with them for now." Lin Xian frowned. Golden runes flashed in his eyes as if he was confirming something. Soon he sneered. "So it was you. Since that's the case, go to hell." His aura burst out and engulfed the entire area. The surrounding seawater started to churn crazily, creating a vacuum zone. There were still some people around. When they saw this scene, they shrunk their necks in fear. Heavens, we just entered and Lin Wudi is going to start a war with Vermilion Bird Palace. It's you. The North Demon and Yen Ruyu wanted to say something, but Lin Xian suddenly attacked. The golden palm reached forward and instantly enveloped everyone from Vermilion Bird Palace. However, there was a golden sword aura in the palm that pierced towards one of them. Pooh! Ah! It was too fast. In just an instant, there was a scream. Then, one of the geniuses from Vermilion Bird Palace was split open. The corpse fell to the sides and the soul escaped screaming. "Damn it, you really dared to attack." The people from Vermilion Bird Palace roared crazily. They were really angry. Although Lin Wudi defeated Yen Nantian, so what? Even a saint didn't dare to start a war with Vermilion Bird Palace. Vermilion Bird Palace was very powerful. But now, the other party killed one of their geniuses without hesitation. The soul of the genius floated in the air and screamed crazily. "Damn it, you dare to attack me?" He was really mad. Lin Xian sneered. "Why wouldn't I dare to attack you? You attacked me first, right? You were the one who attacked me at the entrance. You think I can't sense you just because you hid your aura? Since you dared to attack me, you have to be prepared to die." Lin Xian's sword aura soared into the sky and the soul was about to dim. "Damn it, how dare you attack Vermilion Bird Palace? Kill." Instantly a person charged over. Vermilion Bird Seal. He formed a hand seal and transformed into a huge vermilion bird, which charged toward Lin Xian. At the same time, the other person pulled out a long saber. It was as red as fire and looked like the feathers of a vermilion bird. Although it was not as good as the feather in Yen Nantian's hand, it was still extremely terrifying. In an instant, the surrounding seawater was split apart. At the same time, the other person also made his move. The flames on his body overflowed into the sky, covering all the seawater. They formed two large flaming palms and grabbed Lin Xian's legs, preventing him from escaping. The three geniuses struck out at the same time, displaying their ultimate skills. It was truly ferocious. "Haha, die for me." The vermilion bird seal rushed towards Lin Xian's head, while the vermilion bird feather longsword stabbed towards Lin Xian's heart. Both were fatal attacks. Boom, boom. An earth-shattering collision sound rang out. Terrifying flames and violent energy engulfed Lin Xian. The dark red dragon and the others' auras exploded, tearing everything apart. Their eyes were cold, and the surrounding martial artists frantically retreated. They had just entered and encountered such a thing. Before they could react, some of them were sent flying by this force. "Humph, I don't believe you can block it." The people from Vermilion Bird Palace sneered. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The seawater surged, and the surrounding sea demons were all blasted into pieces, scattering all over the ground. Lin Xian's figure appeared, stunning the people from Vermilion Bird Palace. Damn it, how could he not be injured? How could he not be injured? These people found it hard to believe. Although they had only seen Lin Xian's power, personally attacking and watching were two completely different things. "Three of you attacking me together? Very well, your Vermilion Bird Palace really has guts. You actually dare to attack me." Lin Xian's body emitted crackling sounds. Like thunder, golden light shone so brightly that everyone could not open their eyes. With a stomp of his foot, the two large flaming palms that bound him were instantly torn apart. Ah! The genius on the other side screamed and retracted his hand. There were countless cracks on his palm, and even his bones could be seen. His face was filled with shock. Too strong. His opponent only shook his body, and he could not withstand that force. "Does your hand hurt? Don't worry. The pain you will suffer will be 10,000 times more painful than your hand. A cold voice sounded in front of him. The genius raised his head, scared out of his wits. He did not know when the other party had appeared in front of him. A large palm reached out and slapped his face like a mountain. Boom. A violent explosion sounded, and the ground cracked. A large crack appeared on the seabed. The body of the Vermilion Bird Palace genius fell to the ground. His body was torn apart, and his face was smashed into pieces. Technique, Soul Stab. Lin Xian formed a hand seal, and the heavenly secret divine eye exploded. A golden light pierced his opponent's soul. Instantly, his opponent's soul screamed miserably, as if he was in great danger. The sound was so terrifying that it made one's scalp tingle. You dare to stab my heart with a sword? Trash, let me tell you how to use a sword. Lin Xian raised his head and looked at the other person. A sword chi appeared on the tip of his finger, and it streaked across the sea. A sword mark appeared on the forehead of that person, and blood immediately flowed out. What a fast sword. That was the only thought he had. Bang. The corpse fell to the ground. The sword had directly killed the other person's body and soul. The soul of the first man, who had suffered great pain, also died. In the blink of an eye, two geniuses were completely destroyed. Lin Xian turned to the third person. The Vermilion Bird Seal? So weak. Let me tell you how to use the Vermilion Bird Seal. He formed a hand seal, and the golden flames on his body danced, turning into a golden vermilion bird. Along with his palm he pushed out. This power was much stronger than before, as if the primordial vermilion bird had been revived. Boom, boom, boom. That person was blasted into pieces, and his soul escaped. However, Lin Xian used the heavenly secret divine eye on the soul that attacked before and this soul. The terrifying light made the two of them scream, and another two souls fell. In an instant, all four of them were killed. Everything happened so quickly that the people from the Vermilion Bird Palace could not react. In the distance, the martial artists passing by were scared out of their wits. Lin Wudi was really too strong. If they were not a saint, they should not provoke him. They quickly fled. Damn it, how dare you attack us? I'm going to. Before a genius from the Vermilion Bird Palace could finish speaking, he was slapped to the ground by the leader. Shut up, all of you, fucking leave. They turned into a stream of fiery light and fled in an instant. It was too terrifying. They did not have a saint's clone, nor did they have Yin Nantian. How could they fight against the other party? It was better to run first. Wait until they met up with the main group, then discuss how to kill the other party. Kid, are you going to let them escape just like that? The dark red dragon looked at the other party and asked quickly. Lin Xian shook his head. Don't worry, they won't be able to escape. They will definitely find the experts from the Vermilion Bird Palace and come back. Chapter 3347. Now we don't have time to chase after these clowns. Let's go and see what's so magical about the Sea of Void. The group quickly set off. Wherever they passed, no one dared to provoke them. That was because their lineup was too powerful. None of them were weak. Suddenly, a huge shadow appeared in front of them. At the same time, an extremely terrifying aura came from it. Yin Ruyu and the dark red dragon both took a deep breath. That was demonic aura. What a terrifying demonic aura. The North demons had the body of 10,000 demons. Although the dark red dragon was a dragon, it could be said to be the land of 10,000 demons. In addition, Yin Ruyu had once joined the Demon King Palace, so she should be related to the demons. Therefore, they were the most sensitive to the demonic aura. Lin Xian's soul was strong, so he naturally felt it too. The aura was too terrifying. It even carried the aura of a saint. Could it be a demon saint? There was actually a demon saint here. Let's go. They sped up and rushed forward through the waves. Soon they approached the huge shadow. However, they found that it was not a shadow, but a corpse that was as big as a mountain. The bones were blue like stars. They were very hard and could not be broken at all. Now that so much time had passed, the flesh and blood were gone, but the bones were perfectly preserved. That was the best material for refining weapons and armor. Why didn't anyone want it? Hee hee, I want stand-on ceremony. The dark red dragon stretched out its claw and grabbed forward. In front of them, the demon saint's corpse was as big as a mountain. However, so what if it was huge? The dark red dragon's claw contained a part of the world. It could take in any mountain. However, he soon found that something was wrong because he could not take it in at all. It was too strange. It was fixed there, and could not be picked up at all. Damn it, it's so strange. The dark red dragon muttered and tried a few more times, but it was useless. Therefore he could only give up. Yenruyu's beautiful eyes flickered as she looked around. He said, "This shouldn't be the first time the Sea of Void has opened, right? In the past, there must have been strong cultivators like us. The treasures that could be seen at a glance would have been taken away by our ancestors. It's not our turn at all." This was an explanation for the dark red dragon. The dark red divine dragon gnashed its teeth in anger. Damn it, this is infuriating. It kicked the huge corpse fiercely. Clang. An earth-shattering sound rang out, causing everyone to frown. The dark red divine dragon also let out an awe-inspiring howl. Fuck, it hurt so much. What kind of broken thing is this? It's actually so hard. Lin Xian said. Alright, stop messing around. Let's go see what other treasures there are. Little White, it's up to you. Lin Xian gave Little White 2 spirit fruits. Little White hugged the spirit fruit and squeaked, "Let me see." Before he could finish his words, the surrounding water began to circulate, forming a water prison that completely enveloped them. Not good. Someone is attacking us again. The dark red divine dragon let out a strange cry. Could it be someone from the Vermilion Bird Palace? They found that it wasn't. Look at what it is. Northern Devil frowned. In the distance, many black figures swam over. Yenryu said, "Not good, let's leave quickly." They bombarded the water prison and shattered it. However, the black figures still surrounded them. Finally, they saw clearly what those black figures were. They were terrifying fish, and they were all demon fish. The aura on their bodies was terrifying. Their teeth and scales were sharp enough to pierce through everything. If there were only 1 or 2, Lin Xian, and the others wouldn't care at all. However, there were tens of thousands of them. Who knew how many there were? Not good. These are ghost fiend fish. They're very terrifying. Their attacks are very powerful and crazy. Let's leave quickly. Break out of the encirclement. Don't fight them head-on. Yenryu said quickly. Lin Xian and the others nodded and struck out with their palms. It was like a school of fish. Instantly, the ghost fiend fish were sent flying. Lin Xian's fist was terrifyingly harmonious. The ghost fiend sharks in front of him were all turned into ashes. They turned into a bloody mist. However, the blood stimulated the ghost fiend sharks. Instantly they charged out. Endless bubbles appeared, and their eyes were fixed on Lin Xian. They rushed over quickly, like blue divine arrows, and collided with Lin Xian's body, producing clanging sounds. Although Lin Xian's body was strong, he couldn't withstand the impact of so many fish. He could tell that if a saint was trapped here, he would probably die. Therefore he stomped his foot. Like a coiling dragon, he split the world with his foot. With a boom, he created a vacuum in the sea of fish. Let's go. Lin Xian took the lead and unleashed a barrage of attacks in all directions. The dark red mystical dragon, Yenryu, and Northern Devil followed closely behind. During this time, the dark red mystical dragon roared in all directions. It wanted to use the might of the dragons to suppress these demon fish. However, the ghost fiend sharks were not afraid. Lin Xian was shocked. Northern Devil was also surprised. What kind of demon beast was this? It could ignore the bloodline suppression. They ran all the way until they finally escaped the pursuit of the ghost fiend sharks. Then their expressions turned ugly. Damn it, this void sea is too strange. Yenryu said. These ghost fiend sharks were bloodthirsty. They probably ate the corpse of the demonic saint from before. That was why they became so terrifying. Moreover, that demonic saint was probably not ordinary. His flesh and blood contained a trace of the will of a saint, so these ghost fiend sharks were affected. You insulted the demonic saint just now and attracted these ghost fiend sharks. Alright, ruffian dragon, be careful. Don't touch it again. Lin Xian said. The dark red mystical dragon shrugged helplessly. Damn, how would I know that this place is so strange? Alright, I'll be more careful in the future. Let's go. Lin Xian waved his hand. Then they asked Little White. Little White jumped into Yenruya's arms and ate a spirit fruit. Its big black eyes blinked in all directions. Then, it pointed its furry paw in a direction. There. They quickly left. After walking for about a day, they had completely entered the Void Sea. Their surroundings were no longer the same as when they first entered. It was simply an underwater world. Moreover, it was an underwater forest. The seaweeds were hundreds of meters long and rooted at the bottom of the sea. They were connected like trees, making it impossible for people to see them clearly. Some of them had even cultivated into demons and could launch sneak attacks. The dark red mystical dragon and the others were attacked. They were instantly wrapped up by the seaweeds. If it weren't for their strength, they would have died there long ago. Sure enough, in the past few days, they heard screams from time to time. Blood dyed the sea red, and then it was washed away. Clearly, many of the people who entered had died in the mouths of the sea demons. This was definitely a very dangerous place. Boom, boom, boom. An abnormal current appeared in front of them. Northern Devil frowned. Something seemed to be coming. Chapter 33:48. Lin Xian and the others instantly hid in the seaweed and restrained their auras. Even their heartbeats were gone. They were like boulders, hiding themselves. The black shadows in front of them flew over quickly. They were blue demonic beasts that were as deep as the sea of stars. From afar, they looked like ferocious flood dragons or cheilants in the sea. However, they were not flood dragons or cheilants. They were seahorses. They were all demonic beasts that had cultivated into spirits. Each of them was hundreds of meters long, and one of them was even thousands of meters long. They were like the overlords of the sea. Wherever they passed, countless water demons prostrated themselves as if they were welcoming their king. Lin Xian and the others stared at the gigantic seahorse king in shock. There was actually such a terrifying sea demon. However, the seahorse king seemed to have sensed something. It turned its huge head, bringing with it a powerful wave. Its eyes swept over the area. Immediately, Lin Xian and the others became nervous. They realized that it was not an ordinary seahorse king, but a saint. It was the seahorse saint. Moreover, from the looks of it, he was no ordinary saint. He must have cultivated for many years. There were also countless half-saint seahorses around him. He was definitely an overlord in the void ocean. Lin Xian and the others did not want to provoke such an existence. Therefore, they lowered their auras to the minimum. The seahorse saint glanced at them and did not pay any more attention to them. Then he left. In his opinion, he had discovered them. With such weak auras, they were probably like insects. He would not care about them at all. After the seahorses had left for a long time, Lin Xian and the others heaved a sigh of relief and quietly probed with their souls. When they found that there was nothing strange around them, they walked out of the seaweed. They walked for another 2 days and went deeper. Suddenly, the little white monkey cheered. Ah, there's something ahead. It's good. Hearing that, Yenryu, Lin Xian, and the others' eyes lit up. They sped up. Soon they arrived in front of them. Then they were stunned. There was an underwater canyon in front of them. There were stalks of seaweed in the canyon that emitted dazzling light. They danced in the water like chains of laws. The aura emitted by the seaweed was too shocking. It was a spiritual herb that was about 10,000 years old. It was a real king medicine. There were more than 10 of them. The dark red dragon was drooling. Ryu and the North Demon's eyes were also burning. Such a king of medicine was extremely tempting even to a saint. Attack! The dark red dragon and the others rushed forward to grab it and pull it hard. However, after tugging a few times, they realized that they could not pull it off. What's going on? How could there be such a hard king medicine? They were all top-notch experts. This was especially true for Lin Xian, who possessed boundless strength. But now, he was actually unable to grab Lin Xian. This greatly surprised him. The dark red divine dragon waved its dragon claws a few times and hit the bottom of the canyon. Then it frowned. It was so hard. Why did it feel like it was similar to the corpse of the demon saint from before? Hearing this, Lin Xian frowned. He activated his Tianji divine eyes, and a pair of golden eyes looked down from the sky. The corpse was the corpse of the corpse. He did not know what kind of corpse it was. It was too long. The entire canyon was filled with its corpse. However, it seemed that its corpse had been split open. He did not know if it was split open by an outsider, or was it split open by the Sea of Void. The canyon was actually a corpse of a monster, and the king medicine grew on the monster's corpse. Yen Ryu and the North Demon exclaimed when they heard that. The king medicine was at least 10,000 years old. In other words, the corpse had existed for at least 10,000 years. The Sea of Void was really terrifying. According to the corpse of the demon saint, its bones were very hard. It would not be easy to produce these king medicines. Let's hurry up and do it bit by bit. Ryu, don't do anything. You stay outside and guard. Well, set up an array. If there's any danger, alert us. Yen Ryu nodded. Then, the dark red dragon set up an array that enveloped the surroundings. Otherwise, the 10,000-year-old spirit herbs would definitely attract the attention of other experts. It might even attract other sea demons. The dark red dragon was still puzzled. The sea demons should be able to find this place. Why was it preserved? Soon they found out. The corpse of the sea demon below was too terrifying. Even though it had been dead for so many years, it was still emitting a terrifying aura. As soon as Lin Xian and the other two stepped on it, a cold murderous aura enveloped them, as if it was going to tear them to pieces. Lin Xian sighed. He knew that it would not be so easy to obtain the treasures. Usually, there would be heaven and earth demonic beasts guarding them. There were more than 10,000-year-old spirit herbs here. Without the protection of a powerful sea demon, one could imagine that there was something wrong with the corpse. As expected, it was very strong. Ordinary half-saints could not withstand it. They roared and began to resist with all their might. They not only had to resist the terrifying aura of the demon saint corpse below, but they also had to try their best to obtain the 10,000-year-old spirit herbs. It could be said that it was very difficult. On the outside, Yen Ryu was scouting the surroundings. Although the array covered everything, she was still not at ease. After about half a day, Lin Xian had plucked 6 of them. There were still 5 floating there. Damn it, I'm exhausted. However, the harvest was not bad. Looking at the 10,000-year-old herb kings, the dark red divine dragon was very excited. However, at this moment, Yen Ryu shouted. Someone was coming. Hearing this, Lin Xian and the other two frowned. However, Yen Ryu said, "You guys continue. I'll deal with it." She did not immediately take action. Instead, she stared ahead. A group of people walked over. There were a total of 5 people, and Yen Ryu knew one of them, Zhao Wuliang. It seemed that they should be from the Dark Moon Temple. If it was only Zhao Wuliang, Yen Ryu would not be worried. However, Zhao Wuliang was only one of the 5 people, and he was obviously not the leader. There was actually another person in front of Zhao Wuliang. It looked like a boy, but it was obvious that he was the leader. Yen Ryu frowned. It seemed that the other party was not a young genius, but a saint or an existence that had been sent down by a saint's clone. Zhao Wuliang and the others did not discover anything, but the boy saint in front of them stopped. There was a strange light in his eyes as he looked in all directions. Soon he sneered. There was actually an array here, and it was actually a concealment array. It seemed that the treasure should be here. He stretched out a large hand that covered the sky and earth. It was like a blood-colored cloud that slapped forward. Oh no, I've been discovered. Yen Ryu sighed. Saints are indeed powerful. She could only walk out of the array. Similarly, she slapped towards the sky with her jade white hand. Boom boom boom. The jade white hand and the blood-colored hand collided, producing an earth-shaking sound. The blood-colored hand was blocked, and Yen Ryu also took 2 steps back. Chapter 3349. Zhao Wuliang exclaimed. Yen Ryu, it's you. Oh, you know her? The child saint turned to look at Zhao Wuliang. Zhao Wuliang nodded. That's right, elder. This person is Yen Ryu. She's very strong and is ranked above me, second only to Long Zhaotian. So she's Yen Ryu. The child saint understood. It was clear that Yin Ruya's reputation had also resounded throughout the myriad worlds. Not bad, she's indeed a peerless beauty. The child saint didn't look old, but a fiery light appeared in his eyes. Seeing the child saint's fiery gaze, Zhao Wuliang's lips curled into a cold smile. He knew that Yin Ruyu was dead meat. The child beside him wasn't ordinary. He was also an elder in the Dark Moon Temple. His strength had already reached the Sage Realm. But in order to enter the Void Ocean, there were some restrictions. Even so, he had surpassed the half-Sage Realm. Moreover, the child saint liked beautiful women very much. He had never failed to capture anyone he set his eyes on. No matter how strong Yin Ruyu was, she was only slightly stronger than him. How could she be a match for an elder? Thinking of this, Zhao Wuliang said again. Yin Ruyu and Lin Wudi were very familiar. They might even be lovers. Since she was here, it meant that Lin Wudi should be nearby. Perhaps he was in the hidden array, snatching the treasures. Hearing this, the child saint's eyes lit up. Lin Wudi. He naturally knew that Lin Wudi was the successor of the 9 sons and the Great Dragon. He also had the Great Destruction Spear. If he could capture him and get the treasures in his hands, his future would be limitless. He might even be able to advance further. At his age, he didn't dare to think about becoming a great emperor. However, he could still break through to the Great Sage Realm or Sage King Realm. Thinking of this, his eyes were burning. Oh, capture this girl first, then break the array. The people and treasures inside are all mine. Damn Zhao Wuliang. He's obviously adding fuel to the fire. Yin Ruyu frowned. She glanced behind her. Right now, Lin Xian and the other 2 were trying their best to seize the 10,000-year-old spirit herb, and could not be disturbed. Moreover, in case the news of the 10,000-year-old spirit herb leaked out, they would not be able to escape. It would definitely alarm these people. If these people came together, they would definitely have a sound transmission array. If the news got out, it would be really bad for them. Therefore, Yin Ruyu took a deep breath and took a step forward. Her delicate body blocked everyone's path. If you want to take the treasure, you'll have to get past me first. What a reckless woman. Zhao Wuliang sneered. The child saint also narrowed his eyes. Not bad, I like this personality. The other 2 experts from the Dark Moon Divine Hall laughed. Elder, there's no need for you to do it yourself. Although we're no match for her in a one-on-one fight, the 2 of us can definitely take her down easily. Alright, go ahead then. The child saint nodded and stood in the void with his hands behind his back. He seemed to be sizing up his prey. Zhao Wuliang also did not make a move. However, the 2 experts from the Dark Moon Divine Hall beside him walked out. They were also 2 top half-saints. Indeed, as the other party said, no one was a match for Yin Ruyu in a one-on-one fight. However, they were confident that they could do it together. The power of the 2 exploded in an instant. Water Dragon Prison. One of them waved the law of water, and directly controlled the surrounding seawater to form a sea dragon. Like a cage, it completely enveloped Yin Ruyu. The other person's body turned pitch black. Like a shadow, he quickly charged over. Like a shadow. The 2 experts, one of whom was a water-type expert, had a boost of strength in the sea. Their strength was very terrifying. Yin Ruyu was instantly surrounded by an inescapable net. They wanted to completely suppress her. Beside them, there was also a shadow-level assassin. How dare 2 half-saints try to kill me? You're overestimating yourselves. She shouted and suddenly pushed out her jade-like hand. Suddenly, the surrounding seawater violently tumbled and formed 2 giant sharks. They opened their mouths and completely shattered the 8 water dragon pillars. Not only that, but the white shark also bit the shadow. Boom! The shadow exploded and formed thousands of illusions, directly piercing through the seawater. At the same time, the other person's face darkened. Damn it, you also have the law of water. Yes, not only do I have the law of water, but I'm more proficient in it than you. Yin Ruyu pressed her palm forward. Suddenly, the surrounding seawater changed. The water-type half-saint of the Dark Moon Divine Hall was instantly enveloped by a huge blue wave. The wave was extremely terrifying. It had mysterious Tao patterns on it. As it tumbled, it made him vomit blood. The law of shadow? However, in the sea, how can you compare to my doppelganger? Yin Ruyu's beautiful eyes shone with a piercing light. Then she formed a seal. The law of water danced nonstop. The power in her body also rushed out as if she had become the master of the sea. In the endless seawater, Yenruyu's beautiful face appeared all over the place. The number was much more than the black shadows in the sky. Kill! With a shout, the countless beautiful faces opened their red lips. A terrifying sound wave swept through the 9 heavens and 10 lands. The sound wave contained an extremely terrifying killing intent, shattering the countless black shadows. The dark shadow half-saint was also forced back. He vomited blood, and his face was extremely pale. Damn it, a sound wave soul attack. His soul had been severely injured. Zhao Wuliang and the others were also shocked. The sound wave was too terrifying. Moreover, they were caught off guard and almost got hit. Fortunately, there was a child saint standing beside them. At the critical moment, he opened his saint domain and blocked the sound wave. Elder, this woman is too strange. Let's ask the elder to do it personally. Zhao Wuliang whispered from the side. If 2 half-saints couldn't take her down, it would be useless to send another one. He also didn't dare to act rashly. Therefore, he hoped that the child saint would act quickly. The child saint also narrowed his eyes. She has some skills. Good, I'll do it personally. He looked forward and said coldly, this seawater is too blue. I don't like it. I like red. As he spoke, the surrounding seawater tumbled and turned red, as if it was dripping blood. A monstrous blood aura rushed over. Yenryu instantly frowned. What a terrifying blood-colored aura. This person cultivated the blood fiend Dao. This was the law of blood. As expected, the surrounding blood was too terrifying. That aura could make an ordinary half-saint faint instantly. Surrender obediently. I don't want to hurt you. Otherwise, if I really attack, I'm afraid you'll suffer. My blood-drinking knife hasn't drunk the blood of a peerless beauty for a long time. Chapter 3350. The Blade of Law. Moreover, it wasn't an ordinary blade of law. Yenruyu's expression instantly became incomparably solemn. They could also condense a law weapon. However, there were 2 types of such weapons. One was condensed in an instant and dissipated between heaven and earth after the battle. The other was condensed in the body and used the Bodhi's power to nurture it over a long period of time. This kind of law weapon was almost the same as a true sacred artifact. In fact, if a powerful saint nurtured a law weapon for thousands of years, its power would probably be even more terrifying than an ordinary sacred artifact. Of course, law weapons still had their shortcomings. If you didn't continue to give it power, its power would become weaker and weaker. In the end, it would dissipate between heaven and earth. However, a sacred artifact was different. Once it was refined, its power wouldn't change and would even become stronger. Therefore, as long as one was a saint, they would dream of having their own sacred artifact. However, a sacred artifact? It was also extremely precious. After all, the materials used to refine a sacred artifact had to be very top-notch. Otherwise, it wouldn't be able to withstand the power of the Tao patterns. The child saint in front of her clearly didn't have a true sacred artifact. Moreover, looking at the power of the law weapon, Yenryu guessed wrong. It wasn't 1,000 years old, but only 500 to 600 years old. However, it was only 500 to 600 years old, and it was already not something that those half-saints could resist. Yenryu also felt a great sense of danger. Sure enough, with a slash, the divine ability around her was split in half. She instantly moved away, and the afterimage was shattered. The robes on his body also began to flutter. Seeing this scene, Zhao Wuliang and the others all laughed. As expected, no matter how powerful the other party was, it was impossible for him to be compared with a true saint. Moreover, it was now a 500-year law weapon. His speed was quite fast, but he could dodge a few more slashes from her. Just now, she had only casually attacked. The child saint seemed to be enjoying this fun, and wasn't in a hurry to make a move. Yenruyu's face darkened. A mere 500-year law weapon dared to be arrogant in front of her. Fine, I'll let you see my methods today, she shouted, and a green light rose from her body. A terrifying and monstrous power instantly exploded. Between heaven and earth, there seemed to be a behemoth awakening, causing Zhao Wuliang and the others to feel the blood in their bodies freeze, and they couldn't breathe. Damn it, what was that? Zhao Wuliang and the others went crazy. They didn't expect Yan Ruyu to have such a trump card. The child saint's expression changed as well. A blood-red light burst out of his eyes, turning into two blood-red vortexes as he stared at Yan Ruyu. It was as if it wanted to devour her. What a terrifying aura. Could it be a sacred artifact? There was actually a sacred artifact in her body. What a pleasant surprise. If I capture you, I might be able to obtain a true sacred artifact. The child saint was overjoyed. He no longer hesitated. With a wave of his arm, he grabbed the blood-imbibing saber and slashed down. The power of this saber strike was boundless. A half-saint simply couldn't block it. Yan Ruyu shouted and pushed out her palm. At that moment, her body was completely enveloped by a cyan color. Even her eyebrows and head seemed to have turned cyan. The strange palm was also covered with green lines that looked like runes. The mysterious power gushed out in an instant. With a boom, a shocking sound rang out. The surrounding seawater was split apart, spreading for who knew how many tens of thousands of li. The sky collapsed and the earth cracked. The violent roar shook all directions. Inside the formation, Lin Xian and the others had already noticed it. Seeing this scene, their expressions changed and they couldn't help but worry. But soon Lin Xian smiled and said, "Ryu is fine. Let's hurry up and get the remaining 3 out." Ka ka ka. There was a shattering sound between heaven and earth, followed by a cry of surprise. How could it be? My blood-imbibing saber. How could it be broken? When the light that filled the sky disappeared, the child saint's face was full of horror. The blood-imbibing saber in his hand had been torn apart, leaving only the hilt in his hand. Zhao Wuliang and the others were dumbfounded. This was a 500-year-old saber of laws, but it was broken in the collision just now. How could it be? Could it be that the other party's palm was a sacred artifact? Damn it, what was that cyan light in the other party's body? Their scalps went numb. The child saint's face was also gloomy. How dare you destroy my 500-year-old weapon of laws? I will definitely make you suffer a fate worse than death. He was truly furious. Killing intent spread out from his body as a monstrous sea of blood surrounded him. At this moment, the child saint was like an Azura. Just one look at him could make people faint. Do you really think you are my match? Yan Ruyu shouted. 2 cyan runes appeared in her eyes. It was extremely strange. The cyan light on her body was even more terrifying. It was as if a cyan figure was attached to her body. Boom! Her palm slammed out. Cyan light flew out with an unparalleled aura, causing the entire world to shake. On the other side, the child saint also shouted furiously, "Suppress!" He used his sacred domain. As long as he could pull the other party into his sacred domain, he would be the ruler. No matter how strong the other party was, they could not do anything to him. The monstrous sea of blood turned into a small world and enveloped Yan Ruyu. Success. The child saint smiled. He would make the other party suffer a fate worse than death. However, in the next moment his smile disappeared from his face. Because his sacred domain was pierced by the other party's palm. Gh. He coughed out a mouthful of blood. His face was dazed. How could it be? His sacred domain was pierced by the other party. What kind of power was this? The other party was only a half-saint. Even if she had a sacred artifact in her hand, she could not use its full power. But why was there such power? He did not know, he could not understand. However, in the next moment he was sent flying, many cracks appearing on his body. Ah! A miserable cry rang out. Zhao Wuliang and the other 4 were dumbfounded. They could not help but tremble. The power of a half-saint? Even the dark red divine dragon and the others inside the formation could not help but be surprised when they saw this scene. Northern Demon looked as if he had seen a ghost. When did Yan Ruyu become so powerful? The dark red divine dragon said, I have long felt that there is a mysterious power in this girl's body that I can't figure out. Now it seems that it is indeed so. This power is very strong, kid. It is not weaker than the thing in your body. Lin Xian was also surprised. The thing in his body was the great dragon sword soul. Could it be that there was also a supreme power in Yan Ruyu's body? He did not know. But he could feel that when Yen Ruyu used that power, the great dragon sword soul in his body had already roared excitedly. It wanted to rush out, but if it was not suppressed by him, it would have been filled with sword chi by now. Chapter 3351. At this time, Lin Xian and the others also took out the last 3 10,000-year-old spiritual herbs. Then they waved their hands and removed the formation. Outside, the screams stopped. The child saint's body had healed, but his expression was extremely ugly. Zhao Wuliang and the other 4 experts from the Dark Moon Temple were terrified as well. At this time, they saw the formation in front of them disappear, and then 3 figures walked out. When he saw one of the figures, Zhao Wuliang looked as if he had seen a ghost, and almost knelt on the ground. Lin Wudi, it's him, he's really here. Zhao Wuliang was really scared. If he was full of confidence before and thought that they had a saint on their side, they could definitely kill the other party. But now he didn't dare to think so. Just Yen Ruyu alone had the power to injure a saint. In addition, Lin Wudi, the North Demon, and a dragon's expert were beside him. This lineup was too strong. Even if they all attacked, they probably couldn't do anything to the other party. Instead, they might have to face death. The elders all looked at the child saint in an instant. The child saint's face was cold. He stared at the 3 new figures, and then stared at one of them. It was Lin Wudi. Hand over the treasures on your body, and I can spare your life. Haha, Lin Xian laughed. You're already beaten up like this, and you still dare to think about the treasures? You must be tired of living. Or have you been a saint for too long and don't know anything about the changes outside? Do you think you have the right to be arrogant in front of us? Lin Xian's words were full of disdain, which made the child saint furious. Damn it, damn it. A mere half-step saint dared to be arrogant in front of him? He was a saint, above heaven and earth, above the half-step saint. Even a half-step saint would have to bow their head respectfully when they saw him. Who dared to be impudent in front of him? Even Zhao Wuliang had to be respectful to him, but this person in front of him dared to mock him. It was really intolerable. Die for me. The surrounding blood sea instantly changed. 2 blood-red vortexes, which looked like 2 gigantic canopies, slashed towards Lin Xian. If he could hit him, he would be able to cut Xiaoxian into 3 pieces. The dark red godly dragon sensed the blood-colored power. His body shook and he quickly retreated. Lin Xian sneered. Pulling out the great destruction spear, the 9-yang divine body completely exploded. It swept across, forming a black torrent. In an instant, the 2 blood-red vortexes were sent flying. He laughed coldly. A saint was nothing more than this. Great spear of destruction. The boy saint's pupils constricted as he stared at the pitch-black weapon. Was this the great spear of destruction? It was indeed very strong. It was definitely a saint artifact. Furthermore, it was an extremely terrifying saint artifact. Brat, the only reason you can block my divine ability is because of the great annihilation spear in your hand. Without this weapon, you are nothing in front of me. The child saint said coldly. Lin Xian sneered in disdain. Is that so? I relied on my weapon. Then what did you rely on? I'm not even 100 years old. But what about you? You're at least 2,000 to 3,000 years old, right? You've lived 2,000 to 3,000 years longer than me. Has your cultivation gone to waste? If you weren't a saint today, I would be able to destroy your soul with a single slap. Do you still have the right to be arrogant in front of me? Lin Xian was really disdainful. The child saint was so angry that he vomited blood. He didn't expect that not only would he fail to act cool in front of the other party, but he would also be slapped in the face. Was the other party really less than 100 years old? If that was the case, it would be too terrifying. He had to kill such a peerless genius as soon as possible. Otherwise, he would be his nightmare in the future. Attack together and kill him for me. Hearing the child saint's words, Zhao Wuliang and the others hesitated. Yen Ruyu and Lin Wudi both had the combat strength of a saint. Would they be able to defeat them? However, they didn't dare to resist. Otherwise, they would be killed immediately. Therefore, Wu Wu and the others could only bite the bullet and charge forward. Among them, Zhao Wuliang charged towards the North Demon. It seemed that he could only defeat the North Demon. As for Yen Ruyu and Lin Wudi, he didn't dare to fight them. Seeing where Zhao Wuliang went, Lin Xian sneered. Trash, you don't even have the courage to face me. What's the point of a trash like you still living in this world? The great spear of destruction carried a terrifying demonic aura and terrifying power. A dragon's roar resounded through heaven and earth. No elder, save me. Zhao Wuliang was scared out of his wits. He used all his strength and struck out with a shocking attack. At the same time, he screamed crazily. He didn't expect that he still had to face Lin Wudi. Moreover, he realized that the other party's attack was too powerful. It made him feel as if he had fallen into a 10,000-year-old ice cave. In the next moment, a shocking collision sound rang out. Zhao Wuliang felt his hand shatter. Then it was his arms and then his body. Everything collapsed into pieces. A black light pierced through his heart. Ah! Then there was a scream of pain. Zhao Wuliang was scared out of his wits. His soul instantly left his body, hugged a piece of jade, and fled into the distance. The direction he was running in was the direction of the child saint. He wanted to inform the saint to save his life. Courting death. The child saint was also furious. Although Zhao Wuliang had just joined the Dark Moon Temple, his talent was definitely not bad. Such a person could definitely become a saint in the future. But now their genius couldn't even withstand a single attack from the other party. What was even more despicable was that he saw the other party holding the great spear of destruction and attacking again. Courting death. The child saint struck out with his palm. On his palm, there was a monstrous blood-colored nomological law that transformed into a divine chain of hell, wanting to send Zhao Wuliang into the 18th level of hell. Buzz. Lin Xian didn't hold back. The great dragon sword soul surged into the great spear of destruction. With a single strike, it pierced through the blood-colored palm. Saint blood floated down, piercing through everything. This was the blood of a true saint. The energy contained in it was too terrifying. The dark red divine dragon took out a blood-colored gourd and began to absorb the saint blood. In the future, these could be used as materials to create array formations or other things. Lin Xian forcefully pierced through the saint's palm, and then arrived in front of Zhao Wuliang's soul. Zhao Wuliang was scared out of his wits. He hurriedly knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. Spare my life, spare me. I won't dare to go against you in the future. Spare you? Sure, I'll plant a slave mark on you and make you my slave from now on. Are you willing? Lin Xian's voice was sonorous. Zhao Wuliang was stunned. What? Become his slave? Never to be able to turn over? In that case, he might as well die. Since you're not willing, then die. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Golden runes scattered from his eyes. A soul attack instantly caused Zhao Wuliang's soul to scream. From the looks of it, he had been hit by an eye technique and would probably be tortured for hundreds or thousands of years. Chapter 3352. Dead. In just a few breaths of time, the terrifying peerless genius, Zhao Wuliang, was killed in body and soul. This scene dumbfounded the other four powerhouses of the Dark Moon Temple. Was this really a half-step saint on the same level as them? How could there be such a terrifying half-step saint in the world? Run. They screamed crazily and fled in all directions. At this time, who cared about the saint's orders? It was better to run for their lives first. If you want to escape, stay here. The dark red divine dragon sneered and rushed out. On the other side, the North Demon also made a move. Both of them were top half-step saints. It was definitely not a problem for the two of them to deal with four half-step saints. Therefore, Lin Xian did not care about the four of them anymore. Instead, he turned his head and stared at the child saint. Originally, the child saint was already very aggrieved to deal with Yan Ryu. Now that he felt Lin Xian's gaze, his eyelids twitched. Damn it! What do you want to do? 2 against 1? You are also top geniuses. Don't you think it's too embarrassing to join forces to attack me? Are you worthy of your title as peerless geniuses? He roared crazily. He really couldn't win against 2 against 1. Hearing this, Lin Xian sneered. We are not worthy of our identity and title. But are you worthy of it? You are a dignified sage, Tua Tiandi. When you attacked us previously, did you think of your own identity? Have you thought about your face? Why are you talking about your face and identity to us half-step saints now? We are 2 against 1. That's enough respect for you, right? No, damn it, you can't do it. I am an elder of the Dark Moon Temple. If you attack me, you will become an enemy of the Dark Moon Temple. You have to think carefully. The Dark Moon Temple? Yin Ryu also laughed. It was said that it was founded by a saint king in ancient times. We will not kill you. We will give you a chance to live. Give us the inheritance of the saint king, and we will let you live. Hearing this, Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes. The saint realm was also divided into 9 levels. In the first 5 levels, one's strength would become stronger and stronger. When one reached the 6th level, one would be conferred as a small saint. The 7th heaven was the Saint Venerable. The 8th heaven was the Sage King, and the 9th heaven was the Great Sage. The Great Sage could be said to be the most terrifying existence in the Sage realm. Basically, he was already very close to becoming a great emperor. As long as he took another step, he would be able to break through and become a great emperor. As for the Sage King, it was the 8th level of the Sage realm, an existence second only to the Great Sage. Who would have thought that the Dark Moon Temple was founded by a Sage King? However, after thinking about it for so many years, it was basically impossible for the Dark Moon Temple to have a Sage King. However, he definitely had the inheritance of the Sage King. Yen Ryu's words caused the child saint's expression to completely change. He hurriedly said, "I'm only a first-layer saint. How could I have the chance to learn the Saint King's inheritance? I'm not qualified enough in the Dark Moon Divine Palace, and I can't get in touch with the core things. If the 2 of you let me go, I will definitely not be your enemy in the future." There was no inheritance of the Sage King? In other words, there's no point in keeping you alive. Since that's the case, why don't we just kill you? We won't let the tiger go back to the mountain. Lin Xian held the Great Spear of Destruction. On the other side, Yen Ryu's body was also surrounded by a green light. Damn it, these 2 juniors have gone too far. I'll fight it out with you. The child saint roared like a madman. However, how could he be a match for the 2 of them? He might not even be able to defeat the 2 of them in a one-on-one fight, let alone being besieged by the 2 of them now. Therefore, after dozens of moves, the child saint's body was pierced and torn into pieces. His soul was holding a blood-red knife, and was as fast as a shield. Stay here. Lin Xian waved the Great Spear of Destruction, and directly cut off the other party's path. The dragon roar on the Great Spear of Destruction rumbled, and the soul kept rolling and turning dim. At this moment, Yen Ryu added another palm strike. With a boom, the other party's soul was completely shattered. A sage's body and soul were also afraid of being destroyed. Great, clean up the battlefield. The dark red divine dragon and Yen Ryu also killed 4 half-sages. They used the blood gourd to collect the blood of the saints and refine it. Lin Xian, on the other hand, took their storage rings. This was a great harvest. Not only did they obtain 11 10,000-year-old king herbs, but they also obtained a sage's storage ring and 5 half-sages storage rings. Come, let's quickly distribute the spoils. Lin Xian and the others waved their hands, enveloping the surrounding scene. Then, they began to distribute the spoils. The dark red divine dragon was extremely excited. The North Demon and Yen Ryu also smiled. This time, they had really gained a lot. Lin Xian found some spiritual fruits in the sage's storage ring, and gave them to Little White. Little White ate happily. Then he obtained some pills. These pills were all for the sages to cultivate. Lin Xian also distributed some to everyone. He didn't keep any to himself because he was about to be able to cultivate saint-level pills. It seemed that after he left the Void Ocean and became a sage, he would have to open the Great Void Divine Furnace again. At this moment, in another place in the Void Ocean, there was a huge battle. One of the men held a long spear, and his nerves were cold. However, blood was flowing from his body, and there were several terrifying cracks on his body. His body had nearly split into 2 halves. Lu Mu, you can't escape. You're not our match. Hurry up and kneel down and submit to us. Then we might let you live. As for the treasure, it's ours. You don't have the right to take it. Many people around him sneered. Among them were the Vermilion Bird Duke's people, the Dark Moon Temple's strong cultivators, and even the strong cultivators from other families. Beside Lu Mu, there was a young woman. She was his junior sister. At this moment, she was also covered in blood. Her face was filled with despair. Lu Mu clenched the long spear in his hand and gritted his teeth. Long Zhaotian, are you really going to kill me? Among the few people in front, there was one standing there. It was Long Zhaotian. He sneered. So what if I'm going to kill you? To be honest, you're not my match in a one-on-one fight. Now there are so many other experts. There were a total of 7 people here. It was already surprising that Lu Mu could last until now. Senior brother, don't worry about me. Hurry up and run. You're burning your life. It won't take you long. Hurry up and leave. The woman in green said quickly. She knew that Lu Mu could withstand the attacks of the 7 people. It wasn't because his strength had increased by leaps and bounds. It was because he had used a secret technique. It was a technique that burned his life and blood in exchange for unparalleled power. Chapter 3353. Junior sister, it's my fault. I shouldn't have let you follow me. Maybe I should join a big faction. Lu Mu sighed, his eyes filled with despair. The girl in green beside him shook her head. No, senior brother, leave quickly. Don't worry about me. You're alive. You're a genius. You'll become a saint sooner or later. There's no need to sacrifice yourself for me. Lu Mu took a deep breath as a look of love appeared in his eyes. How could I abandon you? Junior sister. Io, this is really touching. Long Zhaotian sneered. Why don't you go to hell together and be a couple? Brother Long, that's not right. That girl is so beautiful. It's a pity to kill her. Why don't you give her to me? At this moment, someone from Vermilion Bird Palace laughed. The flames on his body turned into the shape of a golden crow. It was very scary. It seemed that he had the bloodline of the golden crow. If you like her, then I'll give her to you. Long Zhaotian laughed. Lu Mu's expression changed when he heard this. The girl in green beside him also had an extremely ugly expression. Damn it, you dare to touch my junior sister? My Lu family won't let you go. He clenched his teeth and shot out a green light into the sky. To be honest, these people were very powerful and had terrifying factions behind them. Lu Mu didn't want to drag his family into this. But now these people wanted to attack his junior sister. He had to do this. This signal was to summon the family's experts. Seeing the other party attack, the youth with the golden crow bloodline from Vermilion Bird Palace sneered. The flames on his body were like a sun, instantly enveloping the green light. Then it was engulfed and burned. Do you want to ask for help? You don't have a chance. Attack, don't give this kid a chance to fight back. Long Zhaotian said coldly. The surrounding experts also walked over and sneered. Senior brother, run. The girl in green screamed. But Lu Mu roared again. His blood and chi burned. He was burning his life force. His combat power became stronger again. An intense battle broke out. Long Zhaotian sneered. Let's see how long you can last. They moved and surrounded the other party, not letting him break out. Finally, Long Zhaotian found a chance to use dragon roaming the world. Lu Mu's attack. The others also went up and injured Lu Mu. Haha, burning his bloodline power? Those people sneered. Lu Mu suddenly burst forth. The long spear in his hand drew out a stream of light. With the power of laws, it pierced into the void. Wang. He stabbed the man from the Golden Crow clan. The man was scared out of his wits and tried his best to dodge. In the end, the long spear brushed past his body, leaving a bloody mark. Courting death. Jin Wu Lai roared furiously. His palm turned into the phantom of a demonic beast and rushed out. The monstrous law of fire was waved and hit Lu Mu directly. Boom. A hole appeared in Lu Mu's chest and blood kept flowing out. Damn it, you actually dared to injure me. I'm going to play your junior sister to death in front of you. As he spoke, Golden Crow Lai waved his hand and a powerful golden claw enveloped the girl in green. The towering flames ignited the aura of the woman in green. Many parts of her green robe were tattered. No. Lu Mu was in despair. The green-robed woman was also screaming like a madwoman. However, at this moment of crisis, a palm descended from the sky. In an instant, Jin Wuxia was sent flying. Boom. He spat out blood and flew backward. Half of his face had fallen asleep. Who dares to meddle in my business? Wuxia roared crazily. The flames on his body exploded and circled in the air like a demonic beast. 7 people ganging up on 2 people. How shameless. A sneer was heard, followed by 4 figures descending from the sky. Who are you people? Wuxia roared furiously. However, his eyes lit up when he saw that the first person to descend was a woman in white. What a beautiful woman. He realized that the woman in white was much more beautiful than the green-robed woman from before. She could be said to be devastatingly beautiful. However, Long Zhaoshan's expression changed. Yanryu, it's you. He looked behind him again. In the next moment he was scared out of his wits. North Yao, there's another one, Lin Wudi. Heavens, Lin Wudi is here too. Damn it, let's go. Long Zhaotian turned around and fled without another word. He looked as if he had seen a ghost. The people from the Dark Moon Temple and the Vermilion Bird Palace were also stunned. Some of the family clans were also stunned. They all knew what kind of person Long Zhaotian was. He was a powerhouse in the Dragon Valley. Who could defeat him? Could it be that one of the people in front of them was a sage? They sensed carefully but did not find anyone with the aura of a sage. The people from Vermilion Bird Palace did not recognize Lin Xian either. After all, not everyone was there to watch the battle. They only knew of Lin Wudi's name but had never seen him in person. Therefore, they sneered at that moment. Since there are still people who don't know what's good for them, they won't hold back. After being rescued, the green-robed woman looked at Yanryu gratefully. Lu Mu was trembling with excitement. You're here. You're here. He naturally recognized Lin Xian and the others. Lin Xian looked at him and frowned slightly. His aura was very weak. It seemed that he had fought with his life on the line. There was probably no way to save him. Lu Mu looked at Lin Xian and opened his mouth slightly. Lin Xian walked over. What do you want to say? He squatted down and asked. I can't take it anymore. I'm going to die here. There are treasures below. You must protect my junior sister's safety. Lu Mu stretched out a hand and placed it in front of Lin Xian with a trembling hand. Then, his aura became weaker and weaker. Finally, his gaze moved away from Lin Xian and looked at the green-robed woman with a smile. In the next moment, his aura was gone. No. Senior brother. The green-robed woman screamed crazily. Lin Xian sighed and took the key from her hand. Then he stood up and nodded. Don't worry, I'll help you fulfill your last wish. I'll protect your junior sister well. I'll also help you kill these people. You can rest in peace. As he spoke, he turned around and looked forward. The green-robed woman hugged Lu Mu's corpse and cried bitterly. Yanryu and the others frowned. Was there no way to save him? Lin Xian shook his head. He had burned his own life as the price to display his powerful strength. Fortunately, he had used up too much energy. There was no way to save him. Now he could only avenge him. Lin Xian's eyes were filled with killing intent as he looked forward. You still want to kill us? You still want to avenge Lu Mu? You really don't know what's good for you? The people of the Dark Moon Temple sneered. In addition, the people of the other families stared at Lin Xian. Kid, what did Lu Mu give you just now? Hand it over, and we'll spare your life. Wuxia laughed sinisterly. Cut the crap. Attack together and kill him. That white-robed woman is mine. Chapter 3354. His fist turned into the shape of a golden crow. Despicable human. Who do you think you are? How dare you use my golden crow's divine ability? Jin Wulai was furious. He had the bloodline of the golden crow. So the phantoms on his body all carried the aura of the golden crow. How dare his opponent use the divine ability of the golden crow? He was courting death. The raging flames on his body covered the sky and covered the earth, surging forward. Die. He wanted to burn his opponent to death with his flames. Although he was a genius of the Vermilion Bird Palace, he had the bloodline of the golden crow. So the flames on his body were extremely terrifying. He was confident that he would not lose to Yan Nantian in terms of fire attribute divine ability. However, his luck came to an end. He met Lin Xian. Lin Xian's 9-sun fist turned into a golden stream of light and rushed into the sea of flames. It bombarded all directions. The surrounding flames surged and a hole was punched out. A golden fist came in front of Jin Wulai. How is this possible? Jin Wulai's expression changed. How could his opponent be so powerful? He wanted to escape, but his head was blown off by the punch. He wanted to escape with his soul. The nine-sun divine fire ignited his soul in an instant. Miserable cries rang out. In just an instant, his soul was extinguished. His headless body fell down and blood flowed wildly. The surrounding experts were all stunned and swallowed their saliva. Is Jin Wulai dead? Was he killed by a punch? Who is this person? Jin Wulai's strength was not the strongest among them, but he was ranked in the top 3. But now he could not even block a punch from his opponent. Who the hell are you? The other experts asked in a trembling voice. I am Lin Wudi. All of you should die. What? Lin Wudi? You are Lin Wudi. The surrounding people were all stunned. Their faces were full of horror. The person in front of them was Lin Wudi? He was an existence that could suppress Yin Nantian. They finally knew why Long Zhaotian ran away at the first moment. It turned out that he had already recognized him. Damn it! Don't you people of the Vermilion Bird Palace know him? The people of the Dark Moon Palace roared crazily. The faces of the people from the other clans also turned ugly. The people of the Vermilion Bird Palace were filled with regret. How could we know him? We didn't participate in that battle. We only knew his name. Why are you complaining? Run. They fled madly in all directions. This method of escape was the most effective because there was always someone who could escape. Trying to escape? Lin Xian stomped his foot, causing the earth to tremble. Endless waves rolled and turned into sea dragons that rushed out. Lin Xian also knew the law of water, so his strength was equally terrifying in the sea. Boom. Boom. How could these people be a match for Lin Xian? Therefore, in an instant, they were torn apart by the sea dragon, and even their souls were devoured. Screams of agony rang out, and then they all disappeared. Blood dyed the bottom of the sea red, spreading in all directions with the current. Lin Xian turned his head and looked at Lu Mu's corpse. I've already killed your enemy for you. Long Zhaotian is still missing, but I won't let him go. As for your junior sister's safety, Before Lin Xian could finish, his pupil shrank. The surrounding people also exclaimed in surprise. The woman in green hugged Lu Mu's corpse, her face full of tears. Suddenly, she pulled out a dagger that shone with a cold light, and stabbed it towards her own heart. Poof! Blood spurted out, and the woman in green fell into Lu Mu's arms. Senior brother, I'll accompany you on the road to hell. You won't be lonely. No, how could it be like this? Yin Ryu hurriedly squatted down and tried to save her. However, the woman in green said, It's useless. The dagger is coated with poison. Anyone below the Saint Realm will die without a doubt. If you don't need it, save me. Damn, how could it be like this? The dark red dragon also let out a strange cry. Lin Xian frowned and took a deep breath. The law of wood surged out. At the same time, the power of the great dragon sword soul also surged into the woman in green's body, destroying all the poison. Miraculously, the woman in green's aura was declining, but it quickly recovered. How could it be? I'm not dead. The woman in green screamed. She found it hard to believe. She couldn't even die now? Lin Xian said. I promised you that I wouldn't let you die. Moreover, you shouldn't die. I think Lu Mu doesn't want you to die either. As he spoke, Lin Xian waved his hand and made the woman in green fall asleep temporarily. Then he sent her to the spirit boat. At the same time, he asked He Tu to take care of Lu Mu's corpse. Then he flipped his hand and took out the simple key. This was given to me by Lu Mu when he was alive. Moreover, he guarded this place to death. I think there should be a treasure nearby. Behind, I saw the entrance of the cave. The dark red dragon pointed behind them and said, All right, let's go in and take a look. Lin Xian and the others took a deep breath and walked forward. There was indeed a cave abode in front of them. After entering, they saw a bronze door. The bronze door was covered with Dao patterns and flickered with incomparable power. It was obvious that this was the cave abode of a saint. Moreover, it was very difficult to open it with external force. No wonder these people wanted to snatch the key. Lin Xian placed the key in his hand into the bronze door, and turned it forcefully. Immediately, there was a cracking sound, and the bronze door slowly opened. "Let's go in. Everyone be careful," Lin Xian said as layers of light appeared on his body. The others also activated their defenses. After entering, the bronze door closed again. Lin Xian and the others looked around. The cave abode was not complicated. There was only a large hall. In the middle, there was a skeleton sitting cross-legged. It was a colorful skeleton. There was no flesh and blood, but the skeleton was still sitting there cross-legged. It seemed to have died during cultivation. The dark red dragon went forward and observed carefully. Then it said, "It should have reached the end of its lifespan and died of natural causes." Hearing that, the others nodded. At that moment, the northern demon exclaimed, "Look, there's something on the wall." They looked towards the wall. Indeed, there were patterns painted on the wall. There were 4 walls, and each wall was painted with many patterns. Lin Xian and the others glanced at it, and realized that it should be a kind of mystical ability martial art. Moreover, it was an extremely profound mystical ability martial art. The dark red dragon even said excitedly, "It might be a nomological mystical ability. Let's quickly find one to comprehend." Each of them stood on a wall, and began to comprehend with all their might. Lin Xian came to the northern wall, and looked at the Dao patterns carved on the wall. He gradually became shocked. At first he could not see anything. But gradually, Lin Xian realized that the surrounding Dao patterns were all flowing. Then he seemed to see a boundless pitch-black sea, and a colossal creature charged out. It was a fish, a black fish. It was extremely terrifying, like a black demonic mountain. It rose into the air, and began to transform. It grew golden wings and seemed to transform into a huge golden bird that soared into the 9 heavens. Chapter 3355. Lin Xian sucked in a breath of cold air. He was stunned. Kuan-Peng was a divine beast of heaven and earth. It was extremely powerful, and was not weaker than the dragons and Qilins. Could it be that this skeleton was a Kuan-Peng expert when it was alive? And what was carved on the wall was also a Kuan-Peng mystique? Lin Xian did not know. He could only activate his heavenly secret divine eyes. In front of him, the Kuan-Peng began to soar into the sky. Its speed was extremely fast. It was a movement technique. Lin Xian was shocked. He memorized the Kuan-Peng's image in his mind. He closed his eyes and carefully comprehended it. When he opened his eyes, the Kuan-Peng's image on the wall had disappeared. Even the nomological Dao patterns had disappeared. He was shocked. Yan Ruyu and the others' exclamations could be heard from the other 3 walls. It had disappeared. Obviously, the 3 of them had also comprehended the mystique on the wall. And it seemed that this mystique could only be comprehended by one person. After one person comprehended it, it had disappeared. "What did you guys comprehend?" the dark red dragon asked. Lin Xian said, "I saw a Kuan-Peng. It should be the Kuan-Peng movement technique." "Kuan-Peng!" the dark red dragon screamed. The North Demon and Yan Ruyu gasped. They were all related to the demon race. Naturally, they knew what the Kuan-Peng represented to the demon race. It was a powerful existence that was not inferior to dragons. Moreover, the Kuan-Peng was extremely rare now. There were far fewer dragons. However, no one doubted the strength of the Kuan-Peng. Therefore, when they heard that Lin Xian saw a Kuan-Peng, they were shocked. Was it not the Kuan-Peng mystique that they saw? Lin Xian was also surprised. He thought that the sage here was a sage of the Kuan-Peng race. Now it seemed that it was not. The North Demon shook his head. "I saw a wood elemental saber technique, called the longevity saber. I saw a palm descending from the sky. It was like the palm of a god. When it struck out, it froze everything. It was the heaven double palm." Yan Ryu said. The dark red divine dragon said, "What I saw was the heavenly dragon divine claw. It was just a human expert who used the dragon form. If I were to use it, my power would definitely be stronger than his." It seemed like the 4 of them saw different things. Also, it was unknown whether it was a coincidence or some other reason, but what they saw was very suitable for them. Looking at this power, it should be a law mystical ability. Even if it wasn't, it was close because it was really too difficult to comprehend. The dark red divine dragon screamed. The others nodded as well. They were ecstatic. For nomological mystical abilities? What an unexpected surprise. A law divine ability was much stronger than an ordinary divine ability. Since we obtain the nomological mystical abilities here, we should express our gratitude. After all, it was a divine ability cultivation method left behind by this senior. Lin Xian suggested. The four of them nodded. Then, they came in front of the five-colored skeleton and bowed deeply. Thank you, senior, for bestowing the nomological mystical abilities to us. We will definitely bring them to greater heights. Crack. Suddenly, a sound rang out. A stone platform suddenly rose from the ground where Lin Xian, or the five-colored skeleton crystal was. There were actually 4 crystals on it that flickered with incomparable light. These were divine crystals. Everyone was puzzled. They weren't surprised by the divine crystals. They had many in their hands. However, Yin Ruyu exclaimed. These were law divine crystals. Look, there were many nomological Dao patterns carved on them. Indeed, they could tell at a glance that these weren't ordinary divine crystals. The Dao patterns contained on them were really too complicated. Although they couldn't compare to real Dao stones, they were much more precious than divine crystals. There were a total of 4 pieces, 1 for each of them. Everyone didn't stand on ceremony and took 1 each. They still wanted to investigate the surroundings to see if there were any other treasures. Suddenly, a violent rumble sounded from outside. The sky and earth shook, and the entire cave shook. However, it didn't shatter. The cave abode of a saint was actually so easy to shatter. But it was clear that someone had already arrived outside. Let's go out and take a look, Lin Xian said. The others also nodded. They used the key to open the bronze door. Then they walked out. When they walked out, they saw a few figures in front of them. Their auras were very powerful, and there was even the aura of a saint. At this moment, rumbling sounds came from the cave behind them. It completely sank to the bottom of the sea and disappeared. This scene surprised Lin Xian and the others. It seemed that this cave could only be entered once. When the people outside saw the people inside come out, they were ecstatic. But when they saw the cave sink to the bottom of the sea and disappear, they became anxious. Damn it! They came to the cave to obtain the treasures. But the cave was gone. What were they going to do? In an instant, countless eyes stared at Lin Xian. They had entered the cave. The treasures were with them. They had to catch them. Lin Wudi, you can't escape. Hurry up and hand over the treasures you obtained. Perhaps he'll give you a quick death. At this moment, a figure in front laughed sinisterly. It's you. Lin Xian and the others were stunned. Then they laughed coldly. You ant, how dare you come back? The arrogant person in front was Long Zhaotian. He was followed by a few powerful people from the Dragon Valley. One of them was a real saint. The saint was an old man. He had a dragon's head and a human's body. He had a pair of dark golden wings on his back. The aura of a saint spread out in all directions. The pressure between heaven and earth became very heavy. The Dragon Valley was originally the people of the dragons. The dragons were powerful and had a terrifying bloodline. They were originally stronger than other races of the same level. At this moment, the saint of the dragons was naturally stronger. Beside him, there were a few powerful people from the dragons. Each of them was very strong. At this moment, one of them said coldly, "Did you get the treasures in the cave?" "That's right, they got it." Lin Xian nodded without hiding anything. The powerful people from the Dragon Valley were ecstatic. "Great, since you got it, hurry up and hand it over. Otherwise, you will die a horrible death." Long Zhaotian jumped out again. This time, other than the Saint of the Dragons, there were a few clones of the saints. The saints of the dragons were not comparable to ordinary saints of the human race. So what if Lin Wudi was strong? He would not be able to defeat them this time. Therefore, Long Zhaotian continued to be arrogant. "Kid, I know you are strong. You can defeat Yin Nantian and have the Great Destruction Spear. But the saints of the Dragon Valley are not ordinary saints. You can't resist at all. Hurry up and kneel down and hand over the treasures, the Great Destruction Spear, and the two great inheritances. If we are in a good mood, we can leave you with an intact corpse. If you dare to resist. Long Zhaotian was still arrogant. Suddenly, he was slapped away by a golden palm. Lin Xian made his move. The golden palm covered the sky. Even in the sea of void, it was very strong. Chapter 3356. Long Zhaotian screamed in agony. His face was shattered and his body was covered in cracks. It was a terrifying sight. Who do you think you are? Even if you call yourself a sage, do you think you can be so arrogant in front of me? Lin Xian sneered. The people of Dragon Valley were stunned. How dare Long Zhaotian attack Long Zhaotian in front of them? Where did he get his confidence from? Just because he could defeat Yin Nantian? They had to admit that Yin Nanshan's future was limitless after using the successor of the earth. But so what? No matter how strong Yin Nantian was, he was still a young man. They, on the other hand, had been cultivating for thousands of years. The blood of the dragons was strong. Even if Yin Nantian was here, they could still suppress him. Did he really dare to go against them? Long Zhaotian was stunned by the slap. His head was still smashed and his body kept shaking. He could not heal his wounds immediately. The Dragon Valley Saint's face fell completely. This time, he had come to support Long Zhaotian. At the same time, he wanted to obtain the treasures in the cave. But now, someone dared to injure Long Zhaotian in front of him. This was a slap to his face, a slap to the Dragon Valley's face. You're courting death. A Dragon Valley elite beside him was furious. How dare you attack us in front of us? How arrogant. Long Zhaotian regained his senses at this moment. He quickly regained his head and screamed like a madman. Elder, kill him. You must kill him. Capture him and skin him alive. Use the fire of the dragons to burn his soul. Make him wish he was dead. His voice was filled with malice. The North Demon and the others gasped. On the other hand, Lin Xian laughed coldly and sent a slap out. How dare you threaten me? Do you really think I won't kill you? The slap tore Long Zhaotian's body into pieces. Blood and organs flowed all over the ground. It was a ghastly sight. You're courting death. The Dragon Valley elites were enraged. A person shouted coldly and stretched out his hand. It was a black dragon expert. His pitch-black claws carried an incomparably gloomy and cold aura. The slap shattered the void and formed a large black hole that swallowed Lin Xian. I'm not afraid of you. In the face of his opponent's attack, Lin Xian did not dodge at all. Instead, he raised his fist and directly pushed it forward. There was nothing fancy about this punch. Clearly, it was pure physical strength. Boom. Their fists collided in the air, producing a sky-shaking sound. Lin Xian's 9 Sons' divine fist did not have any abnormalities. As for the black dragon's claw, it trembled slightly and retreated. Where are you going? 9 Sons opened his palm and grabbed forward again. This time, his palm was like a golden 5-fingered mountain. It quickly rushed over and grabbed the other party's black dragon claw. Then he used his strength to break it. Crack. The sound of bones breaking could be heard. Following that was a muffled groan. Lin Xian exerted some force in his palm and tore off the other party's arm. Pung pung pung. The black dragon from the Dragon Valley quickly retreated. His expression was extremely unsightly, and he was even trembling slightly as he held onto his wound. The other powerhouses from the Dragon Valley were stunned. The one who attacked was not an ordinary person. It was a black dragon powerhouse who was sent down by a saint. His physique was so strong that he could even compete with a saint. But now he was injured in one move by the other party. Even his arm was torn off by the other party. How could the other party's physique be so strong? As expected of the 9 Sons' divine body, his physique was indeed very strong. At this moment, the old saint from the Dragon Valley spoke. However, no matter how strong you are only a half-saint. Can you really be compared to me? The dark golden wings on his back trembled slightly. Immediately, countless cracks spread in all directions. Endless precepts transformed into divine chains that circled around the area. A terrifying sage's aura descended from the sky. Feeling this aura, the dark red dragon and the others frowned. Yin Ryu was also surprised. She and Lin Xian had killed a saint before. The aura of that child saint was too weak compared to the current dragons. Be careful, Yan Ryu reminded him. Lin Xian nodded his head and looked at the other party with a cold smile. A saint of the dragons? You are old. This era does not belong to you. So hurry up and get lost. Otherwise, if you piss yours truly off, yours truly will break your bones. Hearing this, Yan Ryu was speechless. Didn't she say to be careful? The other powerhouses from the Dragon Valley looked terrible as well. Damn it. How dare the other party talk to their saint in such a manner? How arrogant. Elder, go kill him. At this moment, another person spoke again. He was about to rush over. Lin Xian laughed coldly. A saint's clone was not enough. Get lost. This time he lifted his foot and kicked forward. The sole of his foot seemed to have turned into a sharp heavenly blade, cleaving everything in its path. With a boom, the saint's clone was sent flying. Enough. Go to hell. Seeing this, the saint of the Dragon Valley was completely enraged. He slapped out with his palm. His palm was dark gold in color, and the aura it gave off was enough to send chills down one's spine. The northern demon and the others retreated hurriedly. Lin Xian hollered out coldly as well. His fist flew out and turned into a kunpeng. The golden fist spread its wings and clashed against the dark gold palm. Clang. The sound of an intense collision rang out as Lin Xian retreated. His arms were numb. But soon the energy within his body surged out, and his fighting strength soared once more. A saint? That was all there was to it. Elder, this fella is really strange. You must give it your all. Long Zhaotian fought once more. Noisy. Go to hell. Lin Xian's eyes shone with a sharp glint. The great destruction spear flew out and pinned Long Zhaotian to the ground. With a burst of strength, Long Zhaoshan's soul was torn apart. This time around, he was completely dead. Old fogey, let me see what capabilities you have to be so arrogant in front of me. Lin Xian took out the great destruction spear as his aura climbed endlessly. At this moment, he was like a peerless king. With a stomp of his feet, the earth cracked. Kill. Lin Xian attacked fiercely. The great destruction spear charged forward with a piercing sword chi. Boom. 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 The saint of the Dragon Valley waved his dark gold dragon claw and turned into a sky full of dragon shadows to fight back. An earth-shattering collision rang out. But soon, the saint was enraged. He was courting death. Obviously, he did not gain any advantage in the collision just now. In fact, he was at a disadvantage. This scene stunned the remaining powerhouses of the Dragon Valley. Their elder and saint were at a disadvantage in the hands of the other party? It was hard to believe. Well, I only wanted to kill you with my physical strength. But it seems like you have some strength. Well, then you will die under my laws. Chapter 3357. As soon as the flame appeared, Yan Ryu and the others trembled, revealing a look of horror. The fire of law. The other party had comprehended the law of fire, and it was not an ordinary flame. It was a very strange flame. Great, the elder is serious. That kid is dead. The Dragon Valley powerhouse sneered and retreated to watch the battle. Lin Xian also frowned. Dark golden flame? The law of fire, the other party's flame aura, made him a little shocked. Buzz. The Dragon Valley sage made his move. The dark golden flame turned into streams of light, like two dragon swords, and rushed over. Lin Xian sneered, his body swayed, and disappeared strangely. When he reappeared, he was already beside the old man. The spear of destruction pierced the dark golden wings. What a fast speed! The Dragon Valley powerhouse exclaimed, and even the Dragon Valley sage was surprised. The speed almost made him unable to react. This guy's speed is so fast. The dark red dragon was also surprised. He had been with Lin Xian for a long time, so he naturally knew of Lin Xian's strength. But he did not expect the speed to shock him. Yan Ryu said, "It should be the law supernatural abilities that he said he comprehended on the four walls just now. It should be the kunpeng movement technique." The speed of the kunpeng body technique was simply too fast. Even the sages were shocked. Boom. The spear of destruction struck the dark golden wings forcefully. The dark golden wings kept shaking, and the flames on them drifted out. What a strong physique! Lin Xian was surprised. If it was an ordinary half-step sage, the spear would have pierced through. But the dark golden wings were unharmed. Lin Xian was surprised, and the dragon's powerhouse was even more shocked. He was a sage, and a half-step sage could not even get close to him, let alone attack him. But now, the young man in front of him had broken all the rules and crashed into the dark golden wings. Although his wings weren't broken, the huge force caused his blood to boil. Courting death. He fought back like a madman, and the two of them fought fiercely. The dark golden light and the black torrent kept colliding. Every strike was earth-shattering. The other half-saints of the dragons all retreated far away. Yen Ruyu and the others also retreated to the side. Buzz buzz buzz. Suddenly, Lin Xian's body was covered in a layer of strange flowing light. His feet flickered, and his speed increased to the extreme. In the blink of an eye, 108,000 attacks were unleashed, all of them converging on a single point, causing an earth-shattering collision. The Dragon Valley Saint was sent flying, and a crack appeared on his wing. Then, with a cracking sound, a piece of his wing fell off. Blood instantly sprayed out, and the dark golden flames evaporated the surrounding seawater. Ah! You dared to hurt me, damn it! The Dragon Valley Elder roared like a madman. He pretended to be crazy and his eyes were red. The experts of the Dragon Valley were also stunned. Was their elder injured? What did they see? A half-step saint had injured a saint? Was this a dream? You want to kill me? You're not qualified. Lin Xian was incomparably strong. What's so great about a saint? It's not like I haven't killed one before. Boom. The great dragon sword spirit roared again, and merged with the great destruction spear. His combat strength rose to the extreme, and with a strike, the black torrent was like a peerless sword light, splitting the entire world. Boom. The Dragon Valley Elder was also sent flying. He screamed, and the fire precept on his body was monstrous. A dark golden saint domain rushed out and enveloped Lin Xian. At the same time, Lin Xian shouted coldly, "Ruyu, go and finish off the others." Yen Ruyu and the others looked at the other experts of the Dragon Valley. Hee, this is a good opportunity to test my heavenly dragon divine claw. The dark red divine dragon walked out and looked at the experts of the Dragon Valley with a cold smile. The people of the Dragon Valley frowned. Ants, you dare to attack us? Dragon blood surged in their bodies, but the dark red divine dragon was not afraid. With a dragon roar, the half-step saints of the Dragon Valley were stunned. Damn it, the other party's bloodline seemed to be much stronger than theirs. Fine, then I'll test my longevity saber. The North Demon also activated the myriad demon body. He was not afraid of the dragon's bloodline at all. Yenruyu's white hands were like the palms of a celestial emperor. The surrounding seawater was instantly frozen. Skyfrost palm. Boom. 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 A half-step saint of the Dragon Valley was instantly frozen. His body was shattered into pieces along with the ice. Although he was not killed, he was severely injured in an instant. He frantically retreated. Damn it, what's wrong with this woman? How can she be so strong? The other three half-step saints of the Dragon Valley were also sent flying by the dark red divine dragon and the North Demon. The dragon claw in the sky was too terrifying. It was like the heavenly dragon claw. On the other side, the green saber light was like an indestructible longevity saber. After it was sent out, its aura was continuous. In an instant, the four half-step saints of the Dragon Valley were beaten until they screamed in pain. Damn it, how can it be like this? The saint of the dragon bone roared crazily. He could not understand why these half-step saints were so strong. Yes, it's that cave. They must have found a peerless treasure in the cave. These cultivation techniques are very strange. They are like laws and superpowers. Capture these people. I must capture them. Do not let any of them go. The eyes of the Dragon Valley's saint turned red. Boom. Dark golden flames danced on his body. His body kept expanding until he turned into a dark golden dragon. When he spread his wings, they covered the sky and the sun. He was extremely powerful. Roar. He opened his mouth and spat out endless dark golden flames. They turned into a golden storm that swept in all directions. The terrifying law of fire spread out. In an instant, the entire space collapsed. It could not withstand this power at all. Lin Xian executed the Kuan-Peng movement technique and dodged the golden flames in the sky. He shuttled back and forth continuously. Buzz! Suddenly his body trembled. A dark golden sky above him pressed down. It was the old man's eyes. The old man's eyes were like two dark golden suns. They firmly locked onto him and imprisoned him. The Saint Domain instantly enveloped Lin Xian. Damn it, kid, melt for me. The dark golden flames were very terrifying. The old man's law and realm were also very frightening. Therefore, under the Saint Domain, everything was turned to ashes. It was not a problem for him to kill a saint of the first heaven, let alone the old man. Lin Xian was enveloped by the dark golden Saint Domain. The raging flames burned him. As expected, many cracks appeared on his body. It had to be said that the power of the old man's law was too strong. Even among saints of the first heaven, it was extremely powerful. Kill. Chapter 3358. At this moment, Lin Xian's body seemed to have changed. He turned into a huge black fish that kept rolling in the flames. Everyone, please search for the most complete novel. Every roll brought about a huge force. This scene was exactly what he had seen when he was comprehending the Kuan-Peng movement technique. At that time, he saw a black fish rolling in the Black Sea. Then it soared into the sky and soared into the 9 heavens. At that time, this scene had a huge impact on him. Therefore, he evolved into the form of a Kuan-Peng. On his body, the fragments of the law of water kept dancing. As he rolled, they caused an unusually strong destructive force. After 9 rolls, cracks appeared on the dark golden sacred domain. At the same time, Lin Xian's body suddenly bounced up and flew up quickly. It was like a Kuan-Peng flying out of the sea and soaring into the 9 heavens. The momentum of this attack was simply too powerful. Lin Xian held the Great Destruction Spear and rushed up. Boom! The sacred domain was broken. Uft. The Dragon Valley sage vomited blood. His huge body kept trembling. His face was full of horror. How could this be? How could the other party break through his sacred domain? This was unbelievable. This person could go against the mortal world and attack a sage. A sage was an existence that transcended heaven and earth. They suppressed everything. Everyone below the sage was an ant. This saying was not wrong. But now, an ant could go against the heavens and attack a sage. It was unbelievable. In the next moment, he was scared out of his wits. This was because Lin Xian's speed soared again. It was unbelievably fast. Even he could not catch up. How could he be so fast? The Dragon Valley sage could only summon his sacred domain back to his side to defend, and then look for an opportunity to counterattack. To be honest, he had never been so aggrieved, especially in the hands of a half-saint. Lin Xian was getting more and more familiar with the use of the Kuan-Peng movement technique. Therefore, his speed was getting faster and faster. At the same time, Lin Xian once again used his nomological mystique. In the blink of an eye, it was too fast. In an instant, he had used it dozens of times. In the blink of an eye, an incomparably profound and terrifying power had blocked the destructive aura. The Northern Demon and the Crimson Godly Dragon were also surprised when they felt the power. Especially the Dark Red Divine Dragon. This aura was too terrifying. Could it be that the thing in his body was that thing? Damn it, this is impossible. Yen Ryu activated her trump card and blocked the destructive aura. Then, the 3 of them retreated in an orderly manner. The berserk energy in front of him was still continuing. Immediately after, a dragon's roar could be heard. Junior, take my desolate dragon fist. A furious roar rang out. Then, a dark golden fist lit up in the endless seawater between heaven and earth. It was too resplendent. Even from tens of millions of miles away, one could see that this fist carried an extremely strong power. It danced around continuously, turning into fist shadows that filled the sky. Desolate Dragon Fist. Heavens, this is the ultimate technique of the Dragon Valley. When the experts in the distance heard this, they were extremely shocked. Furthermore, judging from the laws and the might of the attack, It was definitely the attack of a sage. The saints of the Dragon Valley were making their move. Who was he targeting? Was it another sage? They didn't know, but they could imagine that the one who could fight against the Dragon Valley sage was definitely a sage. Boom. 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 The desolate dragon fist was too powerful. It carried a primordial power that could shatter everything. Even though Lin Xian had the Kuan-Peng movement technique, he was still forced to retreat. Boom. 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 In the end, hundreds of fist shadows enveloped him and hit his body, making thunderous sounds. Lin Xian kept retreating as the blood and qi in his body churned. However, the strength of the nine-yang divine body allowed him to forcefully block such a terrifying divine fist. Roar! The great dragon sword soul roared, and let out an extremely terrifying dragon roar. It shook the desolate dragon fist a little. The people in the distance were stunned. What was going on? A dragon's roar? Was it from the Dragon Valley sage? It didn't seem like it. They didn't hear this from the Dragon Valley sage before. Could it be that there were experts from the Dragon Valley? 2 experts from the Dragon Valley fighting against the enemy? No, could it be that the Dragon Valley sage's opponent was also a dragon? These people were all stunned. Desolate dragon fist? Well, I'll let you see what I'm capable of. Lin Xian's black hair fluttered. He stepped on the ground and waved the great spear of destruction in his hand crazily. The great dragon sword soul roared nonstop. The surrounding seawater of the void ocean was stirred up by him. The seawater within tens of millions of miles gathered toward him. It formed the essence of water in his hand. Chapter 3359. The surrounding seawater was vast and mighty. Along with Lin Xian's movements, the essence of the sea quickly condensed and formed one blue dragon after another. The area in front seemed to have become the birthplace of the dragons. The dragons appeared out of thin air, and their terrifying roars resounded through the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Damn it! What are they giving birth to? The people in the distance were all stunned. They had heard 2 dragon roars before, but now they heard thousands of dragons roaring. It was as if many dragons had appeared at the bottom of the sea. What was going on? Could it be that all the powerhouses of the Dragon Valley had moved out? They were too shocked. Although they were curious, no one dared to step forward. They all retreated. When he heard Lin Xian's words, the Dragon Valley sage sneered. The 10,000 dragons portrait? What a joke. That was the ultimate weapon of the dragons. No one knew which world it existed in. However, the person in front of him definitely did not have it. But soon he was stunned because he found that the countless blue dragons in front of him were quickly condensing into a picture. The aura emitted by the pattern was too terrifying, causing his body to tremble slightly. His heart was beating violently as if it had been struck by thunder. How was this possible? The Dragon Valley sage was about to go crazy. The 10,000 dragons portrait, the other party had really condensed it. Although he had never seen the emperor weapon of the dragons, when he saw the scene in front of him at this moment, he did not doubt that this was the real 10,000 dragons portrait. But how was this possible? Could it be that the other party really had the 10,000 dragons portrait? No. Soon, the Dragon Valley sage came back to his senses, and his eyes shone with an extremely cold light. It definitely could not be an ultimate weapon. How terrifying was an ultimate weapon? That was the weapon of a great emperor. Once the Supreme Emperor's aura was released, even a First Heaven sage would not be able to control it. He would definitely be pressed to the ground. But now, although the aura in front of him was incomparably terrifying, it did not make him kneel on the ground. This meant that this was not an ultimate weapon, but something that the other party had evolved with some kind of divine ability. However, the scene was too real, and he could not react in time. This kid must have seen the real 10,000 dragons illustration. I must capture him and force him to tell me where the 10,000 dragons illustration is. He was too shocked. That was the ultimate weapon of the dragons. He had to find it. Desolate dragon fist, dragon shakes the 9 heavens. It was the same for the Dragon Valley saint, who used his most powerful fist technique. The aura on his body kept exploding. 9 huge dragon shadows coiled around his body, and all the dragon heads gathered in his fist. Die for me. A terrifying fist blasted out. At the same time, on the other side, Lin Xian also pushed out the 10,000 dragons picture. Boom. Boom. Although it was just an evolved diagram, Lin Xian had seen the real 10,000 dragon diagram before. Coupled with the great dragon sword soul, it was unparalleled. Therefore, this attack was definitely beyond the imagination of a saint. When the 10,000 dragons picture attacked, the desolate dragon fist was immediately crushed by it. The dragon head continuously roared and unleashed supreme laws, wanting to pierce through. However, they could not do it at all. The blue dragon seemed to carry the power of the entire sea of void. In an instant, it suppressed the desolate dragon fist. The 9 dragon heads were also completely sealed. The blue 10,000 dragons illustration was still pushing towards the Saint of the Dragon Valley. How was this possible? How could it be so powerful? The Saint of the Dragon Valley was stunned. His dragon shocks the 9 heavens was shattered in an instant. He retreated crazily, but the 10,000 dragons illustration suddenly burst out with endless light, completely enveloping him. In the next moment, a shocking sound rang out. Thousands of dragon roars exploded at the same time. The entire bottom of the sea sank into darkness. No one dared to approach. Yen Ryu unleashed the green light on her body to the extreme. It seemed to have turned into a green lotus that completely enveloped them. They were like small boats in the raging storm, constantly tumbling about. However, the cyan light was extremely powerful. It actually managed to forcibly block the attack. This made the dark red divine dragon and the north beast secretly heave a sigh of relief. It took a long time for the raging energy between heaven and earth to gradually dissipate. The figure of the Dragon Valley Saint appeared. His armor was shattered, and many parts of his body were pierced. Blood flowed out. Dark golden blood dyed the surrounding seawater red. How was this possible? The saint's entire body was in pain, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. That attack just now was too powerful. If he had not activated his bloodline at the last moment, he would have been killed by now, wouldn't he? He was not dead? The physique of the dragon clan was indeed strong. Lin Xian said coldly. He was very surprised that this attack did not kill the saint. But so what? The saint was already at the end of his rope. He could easily kill him next. Therefore, he held the great spear of destruction and walked forward with a cold expression. Tap, tap, tap. Lin Xian's footsteps echoed between heaven and earth like thunder. The Dragon Valley Saint's expression became more and more unpleasant. Was he going to die at the hands of this junior today? He was unwilling to accept this. However, at this moment, a clear clapping sound drifted over. Not bad, not bad. As expected of the successor of the 9 sons, the successor of the Dragon Valley, you can beat a first heaven saint into such a sorry state. This is really an eye-opener. As soon as this voice came out, Lin Xian stopped in his tracks and frowned. The Dragon Valley Saint was also shocked. Was there someone else? Great. A glimmer of hope appeared in his eyes. There was indeed someone hiding here. I didn't expect you to appear at this time. Lin Xian looked into the distance. He had long felt uneasy, as if someone was watching him. However, he did not dare to split himself too much in the battle with the Dragon Valley Saint, so he could not fully investigate. Oh, you actually knew of my existence in advance? Kid, since you know I'm here, why don't you hurry up and kneel down and hand over all your treasures? A figure jumped out of the endless seawater. It was a middle-aged man wearing blue armor and carrying a blue spear on his back. The laws on his body danced, releasing a powerful force. A saint. Another saint. Moreover, what surprised Lin Xian was that the aura on this person was familiar. Could it be one of the 3 clones of the saints that he had killed earlier? It seemed that the other party's main body was here. You must be one of the 3 clones, right? How dare you come here? Haven't I killed enough of your clones? Since you dare to come, you can stay here. Lin Xian's voice was cold as he said arrogantly. Kid, you are very arrogant. I know that geniuses are arrogant. It's normal for you to have such an attitude. But you are too confident. You actually dared to kill my clone. Later, I will definitely torture you to death. Chapter 3360. Come out, you guys. How long are you going to hide? The saint in blue armor said coldly to the void. Hearing this, Lin Xian frowned. The expressions of Yan Ruyu and the others in the distance also changed. Oh no, could there be other saints? Hehe, looks like you're quite sharp. You actually noticed our presence. I originally wanted to take advantage of the situation, but it seems like I can't do that. But forget it, since this kid dared to kill my clone, I'll deal with him personally. Two more voices were heard. Following it, two sages walked out from the crowd. As soon as they appeared, they froze the sea, and the entire space was filled with saint aura. Lin Xian also felt a great pressure on his body, as if 4 sacred mountains were pressing down on him. 2 more saints, and from the looks of it, they should be the main bodies of the 3 saints. One of the saints had 2 colors on his body, green and red. The red was the light of fire, but it seemed that the power of fire was suppressed in the void sea, so it wasn't very strong. The other green light was the power of wind, and that was the law of wind. This person had comprehended 2 laws. The other person had a zither on his back. It was made of the tendons of a flood dragon and the bones of a tiger. From the looks of it, they should have something to do with the law of sound. The Wind Demon Saint, Tianyin Shangren, and Nanhai Saint. The Dragon Valley Saint was shocked. He didn't expect 3 more saints to come, and it seemed like they were all here for the kid in front of him. It's over. 3 saints are attacking, and all of them are in a powerful state. The kid is definitely dead. However, he probably couldn't get the kid. In that case, he wouldn't be able to get the kid's secrets. No, damn it. I don't care about the other things, but I have to get the whereabouts of the 10,000 dragons diagram. The Dragon Valley Saint hurriedly said. The 3 of you. How about we work together to take him down? I know this kid has many treasures and secrets, but I don't want them. I only want one. I want him to tell me the whereabouts of the 10,000 dragons diagram. Okay. The Wind Demon Saint nodded with a smile. If he only told them the whereabouts of the 10,000 dragons diagram, it wouldn't affect them. After all, the 10,000 dragons portrait was the ultimate weapon of dragons. They had no intention of taking it. The Heavenly Sound Saint looked at the Dragon Valley Saint and said indifferently, You don't have to do anything. Wait until the 3 of us catch that kid, and we'll tell you about the 10,000 dragon picture. How about that? From the looks of it, he was doing the Dragon Valley a favor. Thank you. However, since this kid dared to injure me so severely, I definitely want to do it myself. Don't worry, today's matter can be considered as a favor to the 3 of you. If I need help in the future, I will definitely return it. Alright, we can talk about these things after the battle. Let's deal with this kid first. The South Sea Saint pulled out the long spear on his back with a flip of his hand. Immediately, the surrounding seawater surged along with him. The 4 members of the Great Sage were about to make a move. Lin Xian was surrounded by the 4 members of the Great Sage. He felt a great pressure. Fortunately, he had a divine body, and his physique was comparable to a saint's, so he was able to resist. Otherwise, any other half-saint would have collapsed long ago. Even so, he still felt a lot of pressure. After all, it was not a problem for him to kill 1 saint. However, if 4 saints attacked together, it would be too troublesome. To be honest, with his current strength, he was still unable to fight 4 saints at the same time. Fighting 2 saints was already his limit. However, this time it was not just him. Indeed, in the distance, Yan Ruyu and the dark red dragon flew over. Oh, there were also companions. However, they were all half-saints. They would not be able to withstand a single blow. The South Sea Saint glanced at them and snorted in disdain. The other saints also nodded. After all, not everyone could defeat people who were stronger than Lin Xian and Yan Nantian. Ordinary saints, even the top half-saints, could not be compared to them at all. Lin Xian looked at Yan Ruyu and the others. Yan Ruyu already knew what Lin Xian meant, so Yan Ruyu said in a deep voice, I can help you block one. The dark red dragon said, I can block one too. I have already set up the heaven-crippled chessboard. I am still unable to fight a saint alone, but I can help the dark red dragon. Moreover, I can heal the 3 of you at the same time. The North Demon said in a deep voice, Okay, Leave the Dragon Valley Saint and the other kind of saint to me. You guys hold back the other two. When the time comes, we will kill them together." Lin Xian laughed loudly. He was not afraid at all. As they spoke, the four of them had assigned the tasks. The four saints opposite them were stunned. After hearing this, they all laughed out loud. What did these people say? These people can fight against us alone? What a joke. Lin Xian can fight saints who are stronger than him. Forget it. They had seen it with their own eyes. But what about that woman and that dragon? Those two might be half-saints. What was even more despicable was that Lin Xian said that he could fight against two saints alone. What a joke. Even geniuses have their limits. It is good to be confident, but if you are overconfident, you will be an idiot. What a bunch of ignorant ants. Do they really think that they are the chosen ones? Can they go against mortals and kill saints? Don't talk nonsense with them. Just kill them directly. It is a waste of time to talk to such trash. Buzz. Among them, Heavenly Sound Saint raised his finger and flicked it out. Immediately, a terrifying sound wave spread between heaven and earth. The sound wave was too strange and powerful. It was the law of sound. The North Demon and the Dark Red Dragon felt the violent collision. Many cracks appeared on their bodies. Yen Ryu shouted, and the green light on her body surged. It turned into a green lotus and was held in her hand. Then she swept it forward. Immediately, the sound waves in the sky were blocked. Yen Ryu charged towards Heavenly Sound Saint. The illusory green lotus-like figure that descended from the sky made Heavenly Sound Saint's expression change instantly. He quickly retreated and dodged the attack. Then, his expression turned abnormally ugly. At the same time, the North Demon shouted coldly and activated the 10,000 monster body. A divine tree that reached the sky appeared behind him. The two branches on the tree supported him and the Dark Red Dragon, providing them with a strong recovery ability. The cracks on his and the Dark Red Dragon's bodies instantly healed. As for the Dark Red Dragon, it roared angrily. A black and white chessboard appeared in its hand, and it smashed forward. In an instant, it enveloped South Sea Saint. An array. It can't even withstand a single blow. Blue Sea Saint sneered. He waved his spear, and the law of the sea exploded. Terrifying seawater surged, causing the array to tremble continuously. But it did not break. The black and white chess pieces on the heaven-crippled chessboard turned into streams of black and white chi. They began to attack and surround him. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.